Good morning. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Hello, I can hear you.
All right, I can hear you. It's working. That easy.
Ooh. I am by no means a Discord expert, so glad I'm in the right place.
Yeah. You're doing everything perfectly so far, and now we just talk. That's the platform. If you wanted to share a webcam, we could work it out, but it is not necessary. I wouldn't worry about it unless it's very important to you to show something off or something like that.
No, audio is good for me.
All right. So, this is George Spender. George is the publisher of the book I wrote over the last 2 or 3 years and published this year, called Before We Go Live. And I invited George on the channel today to talk about, mostly just to talk about good things that have happened last year and things to look forward to next year, but also to chat about the publishing industry and what it's like to publish a book and your experience working with writers and playwrights and all of that stuff, because I do have a decent chunk of my audience who are interested in writing.
Thanks for having me here.
Of course.
Nice to be involved. Nice to be asked. I am talking to you from the south of England, Exmouth. I am visiting my girlfriend's mother here.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
The holiday season is full of exciting social engagements. Or
Still going, yeah, still going.
Yeah. Or in my case, I've been sitting at my chair in front of my desk for the last week. It's been really cool running this event, though. It's incredible how many people will take a moment to chat with you if you reach out to them. A good reminder for us all, perhaps.
Were you doing all day yesterday?
All day yesterday, all day every day since Monday. Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. We are raising money for Free2Luv, which is an awesome charity that funds art programs for kids. We have raised coming up on $10,000, which was the goal that I set out for initially, but the plan is when we hit the goal, I just make the number bigger. You can never actually hit the goal. It's all a sham. So that's what we're up to. I wanted... How many things can I ask you about working with me? I don't... Given that I'm me, you'd be telling me. I was curious what your experience of publishing my book was, I guess, because I think my book's a bit different from a lot of the stuff that you were used to publishing. You're an independent publisher. You're more used to publishing stuff like plays.
Well, yeah, I mean, a little bit of my background and way we were connected was through a playwright, theatre maker, now game designer, Hannah Nicklin, right? For about 9 years, I worked for a theatre publisher in London called Oberon Books, which is now part of Bloomsbury. And I met Hannah at one Edinburgh Festival one year, performing a show about her. It was something to do with her father and protest. I think her father is a policeman. Anyway, I kept vaguely in touch, and I can't remember why we were talking, but we were over email, and she mentioned you. And you and I think, had a... can't remember if I read the book first or you and I had a chat about it. And I was, I guess, initially just trying to point you in the right direction of how to get it published. But maybe quite soon into the chat, it became clear that it would be something I would be interested in doing. By this point, I had founded a very small independent publisher of my own that was mostly doing theatre, but not stuck on any one particular genre or niche. So I was keen to branch out as well. And as far as I know, this is the first memoir by a, a Twitch streamer. Do you know otherwise?
I know of books written by other Twitch streamers. I don't think I know of a like true memoir. They're more like how to be a better gamer or that sort of thing. Yeah, I think the puzzle with streamers and writing books is we all already spend so much of our time sharing about our lives online, so not many of us think it makes much sense to go write a book as well. You could just talk on our channel, you know?
Well, I don't know how you had the hours to do both. I mean,
Neither do I.
the editing process was pretty, I'd say pretty straightforward. You may
Oop, we are having a Wi-Fi issue where you're cutting out. Oh.
how about now?
Yep, you are loud and clear now. You were saying that the editing process was something, and then I lost you.
I think it was pretty straightforward. I certainly found it a very pleasant experience. Hopefully you did as well.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was longer than I expected, but I do feel like all of the time spent was worthwhile. There were bits like reaching out to lawyers, which I hadn't quite realized we would need to do, but then once we were doing them, I thought, oh yeah, this is probably pretty important, actually, given the subject nature of the book.
And we seem to have avoided any lawsuits.
Yep. Nobody has delivered me anything saying that I need to report to the local courts, so that's nice.
It was nice. I mean, you just never know. I mean, I was pretty ready for whatever would happen. I think we were careful with changing names, and I don't think we really had to remove very much. Obviously, we can't go into too much detail there, but I was kind of expecting a letter of some kind, so it's nice to know that we've swerved that.
You know, Soft Giving, who we talk about in the book in the charity chapter, relevant to today's stream, changed their name to something else and have actually recently sued for creators for defamation in the industry. So, but I was not named. Maybe I flew under the radar, maybe I don't know. Maybe they just thought, gee, the things that he said are true and he has evidence of them. So this wouldn't be a great lawsuit. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, you were also very good in putting up with the fact that my first company that I was going to initially publish through Salamander Street kind of imploded shortly before you were scheduled to be published originally, due to a bit of unpleasantness between me and my two business partners, which you were very kind to put up with my explanations for.
My observation of the book publishing industry as an outsider who has published one book is a lot of stuff goes on. Just all sorts of things happen. And I just kind of, at some point I decided I'm just signing up for the experience. I'm just going to see what happens. Hopefully by the end of it I'll have a published book I can show people. And we got there, so I'm quite happy.
And yeah, we got to meet in person. We have met in person exactly once. I am gonna hopefully be, well, I am gonna be in Los Angeles again in January.
Ooh, so, are you there from January 5th to 7th?
Sadly not. I fly out on the 15th. So maybe
I'm gonna be there the 5th to the 7th. That's too bad.
Shame. Yeah, looking forward to seeing some sunshine.
Yes, that is the purpose for my trip almost exclusively in my case. I imagine you're there for some business sorts of things as well.
Yeah, business this time. Well, it was business last time, but I'm going with Mary again to NAMM show. That's the National Association of Music Merchants.
Mm-hmm.
Do a bit of filming.
So,
for those listening, I have been working the last couple of years with my sister Mary, who is a musician and YouTuber, content creator. So I have got to experience the side of the industry that you've been writing about, Stephen.
uh-huh. Did the book help prepare you in any way?
I think so. I mean, I definitely think I have so much of my kind of day-to-day working life has changed over the past year or so, and I guess I experienced a different kind of burnout, the kind of change to my, like, the change of my day-to-day going from very structured and having a lot of tasks to accomplish or nothing gets done to kind of, staring at a wall and wondering what I'm doing day in, day out. That's been a bit of a change, but I'm definitely sort of come to terms with that now. I'm still doing books on the side as well, but yeah, content is now the main day-to-day.
So Mary has been a very successful content creator, I would say, for quite a long time, since before we met. So when you were reading my book for the first time and looking at the subject material, did that immediately make you... Was that one of the reasons that you wanted to publish the book? That it could speak to the life of someone you knew so, like, personally in your family? This is Mary Spender on YouTube. And I found Mary's YouTube channel before I knew that the two of you were related, because she was recommended to me by YouTube. Like, I am stunned over and over again this week about how small the world is. There are so many people who I have met who I could have met 3 other ways, or who all know each other for some weird reason. But yeah, like...
Yeah, the algorithm did its job, didn't it, delivering her to you?
Yeah, I guess so. I enjoyed her cover of one Miley Cyrus song, I think. I can't remember it all.
Well, I guess I was just very interested in the subject matter because it is so new and so few people have actually put pen to paper and I think maybe thought as deeply or, recounted their experiences in the way that you have. So it felt fresh and unusual, and it's obviously just a very well-written book with an interesting tale. And oh yeah,
I suppose you chose to publish it.
And a few thousand other people seem to think so, judging by the numbers so far.
I have very much disengaged from the numbers. I checked the reviews when they were first coming in. I was quite interested to see what people were saying about it. And there were, 6 people. On Goodreads, it says like a certain number of people are interested in this book and want to read it. And there were maybe 6 who were on there saying that they wanted to read it and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. A few more people are going to like it. And I looked for the first time in maybe 6 months earlier this week. And there are now 66 people who want to read it. And like 22 who are currently reading it. And wow, that's so many people.
Yeah.
So yeah, some people like it. Huh. Not bad.
Well, the average, I think I told you this figure, the average book numbers, like for every however many hundreds of thousands of books are published a year, the average number of sales is 500. So you have wildly exceeded that.
Well done.
So you can count yourself as a successful author.
All right. Something that I found interesting with writing a book about streaming, I was actually thinking about this yesterday as well, is I think that the book, at least copies of the book, are going to outlive the availability of a lot of the citations that I'm making in the book. When I was writing the book, you could go to my channel and see the video that I was talking about. Or you could look up who Softgiving was on the internet and find their webpage or whatever. And now, well, now that stuff's still mostly around, but Softgiving has changed its name. So you're going to have to like go through a little obstacle course to work out where they are in the world now. And 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if somebody picks up the book to read it, would they be able to find my YouTube channel at all? I don't know. And it's given me a really interesting perspective on the permanence of the stories that we tell and that I tell at my job in particular. I'm happy that I wrote a book. It's been rewarding in ways that making content has never... Making content is very rewarding, but writing a book has been rewarding in very different ways, which I've never gotten out of content. Like there's a feeling of permanence, for example. There's a feeling of, I said this thing, and I want to stand by it, and people keep reading it and coming and talking to me about it 9 months later, and may continue to do so for a long time.
Gosh, well, I mean, think about how many books you've read over the course of your life that you will have picked up a copy years after it was first published, and it can still affect you very deeply. But I guess as an author, you don't really get to know full extent of the reach. I mean, we can see here exactly how many people are watching now, but we will probably have no idea how many people bought it and finished it, or picked up a second-hand copy somewhere, or you know, we're lent a copy by a friend, and that is both quite magical and quite frustrating as a publisher, because it is the name of the game. But I think you can be very proud of what you've put down on paper, and I think it will be a valuable resource for many years to come.
Is there... I was talking to somebody the other day about the New York Times bestseller list, and I remembered the number 10,000 sales for the New York Times bestseller list. And it's such a prestigious thing. You see on the cover of a like second edition of a book, New York Times bestseller, and you think, oh, that really means something. But then it's like really hard to tell what it means, it turns out. The actual like which sales we're counting. And like you say, like, is the sale of a book the thing that measures how far it spreads and how relevant it is? It's one thing that can be measured, but for example, I imagine that coloring books sell at a higher proportion related to their impact than novels, because a novel, you'll read it and then you'll give it to somebody else to read, and a coloring book, you color it and then it's done.
Yeah, I mean, I have longed for a New York Times bestseller book on my CV for a long time. Maybe one day. I mean, having been in the kind of independent publishing sector for most of my career, I haven't had the thrill of seeing, you know, hundreds of thousands of copies go out the door, but I think it really doesn't matter so much as long as, I mean, the response to the book has been so wonderful. Some of the best kind of reader engagement of my career, I'd say. So that's good enough for me.
Cool. Is there anything that I should be doing to sell the book to my audience? What do you think? Let's discuss market strategy while everyone's here. It's very transparent. How
can we
get...
monetize this charity stream? Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, word of mouth is number one way we can help the book. I think everyone so far seems to have been very good about taking the time to leave an online review. Places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads. I think for those who haven't had the pleasure of getting their hands on a physical copy, the ebook is available wherever you buy your ebooks, and the audiobook is available as well. Did you have Ray on yesterday?
Yeah, Ray was on last night. So I was hanging out with Ray, and then I went and had dinner and went to sleep. Slept terribly, by the way, but that's okay. And now I am here talking with you. So in terms of the stream, Ray was here just a second ago.
Well, that's so cool because he did such a wonderful job and just added, I think, a lot of, did you say a lot of like emotion, or his skill in delivery is just makes it so much more than what you or I maybe would be capable of reading into a microphone.
Yep. As somebody who reads into a microphone all day, every day, I was still never trained as a voice actor. And yeah, what Ray is able to do in conveying the story that I wrote and you published is very, very impressive to me. He did an awesome job. I have had friends of mine who know me very personally. Actually, this is something Hannah did. As an example, Hannah is my manager whose story features extremely prominently in the book. I had Hannah tell me that she thought that the way Ray read some lines in The Storm, which is kind of the deepest, darkest chapter of the book, should be like the canonical version of that line. Like, she just thought that the emotion, the way that he captured it, was the right way, which is a really impressive thing for her to say because she was there and Ray wasn't. So how did Ray do that? I don't know. The man is magical.
Well, the audiobook, for those who have a Spotify premium account, I think you can now get it effectively for free in a number of countries, including UK. I'm pretty sure North America is now up and running, and Canada. I couldn't find anywhere a full list of where it is available, but I guess if you have Spotify, try your luck and we shall see. I mean, I am not too hot on the ins and outs of how they compensate the publisher or the author for this type of
oh, so we don't even know if we're getting paid for that.
They give you, I think they give you like a few cents per like percentage of the book that's been listened to. So
okay,
who knows? I mean, some money will arrive at some point.
That's kind of how I've been approaching the publication of the book as well. That's interesting because, yeah, as a content creator, you hear all about people struggling to actually get a paycheck from things like Spotify plays, like musicians, for example. As a
Sure.
content creator on Twitch and YouTube, I feel like I am paid slightly less than I should be for the amount of revenue generated by what I do. Like, I feel like the companies overseeing what I'm doing are taking an outsized cut, and that's why Jeff Bezos, who is my boss, or whatever, or was once upon a time, is able to have 2 giant spheres with every plant from the Amazon rainforest in them in downtown Seattle, and I am not able to do that. I don't think it's actually every plant, but it's kind of ludicrous. Did you know? So, these are the Amazon spheres, which were Jeff Bezos' project, and they're in downtown Seattle, and they're these big spherical glass environments in which there are lots and lots of different plants from the Amazon rainforest, and there's been ludicrous stuff like him flying a tree in a helicopter through downtown Seattle to put in his spheres and stuff, which is extremely like hubristic and kind of funny because, like, well, who do you have to protect the rainforest from? Jeff, who's the who's the criminal here. But anyway, I was walking past them like a couple weeks ago, and they have a stand there where they give out free bananas, and I thought it was just the funniest thing in the entire world. Like,
Just looking at a picture of them now. I haven't been to Seattle in a long time. I think I went in 2005 or 2006, so pretty before. Like, I do remember Facebook being a thing, but I assume Amazon was a thing as well, but just barely. I don't know how much the city has changed in that time.
yeah, it's
Certainly these
gentrified a little
days,
bit. How did I get on this? Oh yes, I am not paid as well as Jeff is, which, like, yeah, sure. I mean, everyone gets that. So I do definitely think that there are other types of creators who are paid significantly worse. I don't know what I think about authors. I have no real idea. I don't get the sense that writers are compensated in a very flat manner. Like, I feel like the best writers in the world are earning far more than other writers who are working just as hard but aren't as well known for whatever reason.
Absolutely. I mean, if you, however many hours you spent on the book, you are far from earning minimum wage on it.
Mm-hmm. And this was a successful book. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the economics of the industry have changed an awful lot with Amazon, and to bore your listeners with statistics, back in the day, a kind of trade discount, like a publisher getting a book into a bookshop would take about a 30% discount, and the publisher then would keep the rest, and the author would get 10% of that. Nowadays, with these online giants, it's more like 55-60% off the price of the book, so everyone's pot is that much smaller, and that's why I was so thankful to those who bought the book direct, because it just does make such a difference to you and me in terms of making it a bit more affordable and not giving Big Jeff any more money.
I wanted to.
And for those, sometimes Amazon we're all guilty of using it, but I guess you won't know what the full effect is until it's too late. So if you can support your local bookshop, support your local publishers, that's money well spent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 50% off the top for providing a web page where someone clicks the button to buy it is kind of obscene. Do you have any thoughts on how someone who is interested in publishing a book could publish a book in today's world? Because even as someone who just did it successfully, the reason that we got to talking to begin with was that I had been looking for someone to publish my book, and I thought it was just like a very obvious, this will be a successful book sort of situation. Maybe there was legal stuff that put some people off. I don't know. That seems possible. But like if you look at the size of my audience to begin with, and you look at the context that the book's being published in, it seemed obvious to me that this was a book that people could publish profitably. And so I was reaching out to agencies and I was reaching out to publishers saying, hey, I have this book, I'm looking to publish it. And 70% of the time I wouldn't get an email back. 25% of the time I got an email back and it was like, we do think your book is really interesting. Nobody here can do anything with it though. And the remaining 5% was people saying, oh yeah, I would be interested in helping you with that. And then me trying to continue talking with them and them taking like a month to respond, and then eventually like apologizing because they had 30 other clients at the same time or something like that. The book business, for all we can say about it maybe not being incredibly well paying or whatever, it does seem to be thriving with people who want to tell stories, which is encouraging, I guess, but also means that even if you have some great book that you want to publish, it can be hard to get the attention of anyone out there. So, what would be your recommendation for anyone trying to publish?
I wish I had a fantastic answer. I mean, I am a big believer in kind of taking things into your own hands. I mean, self-publishing is now pretty easy for most people to get their head around. As you say, the traditional process is just so slow, and if you even get a response, it then pick up a literary agent who then sells it to a publisher. It will probably be a year or more before it's available in shops. So if you've written something very, very of the moment, there's really nothing like, self-publishing and trying to market it yourself. But I mean, it's the same as releasing an independent artist releasing their music on Spotify. It can be easy to get it out there and harder to get people to pay attention. And you have worked very hard at building a direct connection to your audience that meant we could get word out, because trying to get any kind of media for a book these days, especially from a small publisher, is also incredibly difficult, because review space is so in demand. Maybe 6 review slots a day, a week, a month, with whatever publication you're submitting to. And Britney Spears has a memoir out, so that's
Have you read
one
it?
of the. I haven't. I mean, I read the kind of juicy highlights of it.
Okay.
I'm going to sit down with a copy at some point. But the big beasts take up pretty much all the air in terms of review slots. So it feels like the industry is going to experience a kind of sea change in a way I can't quite predict yet, and I would be very interested to, hear more from publishing experts. I guess I don't know. I think most publishers will just want to see you have a built-in audience that will basically do their work for them. And I find it amazing that even you with your built-in audience still couldn't get, you know, whoever at Penguin Random House or whichever other big beast you want to name to take it on. I mean, they should snap something like this up. So everything is very safe and everything is kind of non-risk, and I don't know. I wish I had a more kind of positive outlook on the industry at the moment. It's so slow to modernize. Yeah, traditional route would be start with a literary agent, like start with the books you like to read, authors you admire, find out who their agent is, which is sometimes easy, sometimes not. You would send a kind of proposal to the agent, you know, a 3-chapter sample and a full synopsis and all that kind of thing. And yeah, hope that they answer their email within a year of you sending it.
I think
just don't leave it too late in life to write a book, because it will take years to get it out.
My process, I definitely did that. I looked at... So I was fortunate to work with an editor who was familiar with the publishing process. And she recommended reaching out to several different agents who she knew had represented people who had written books of some sort of similarity to mine. Obviously, there aren't that many content creators who have written books, but there are people who have written books about small businesses in an emerging industry. There are people who have written books about trying to do the right thing in a weird profit-driven situation and things like that. And so she gave me some people to reach out to, and I did all of that and got very few responses. And then I got connected to someone who coaches people on how to get their writing published. Like, how exactly do you get the best 3-chapter summary? How do you put the right buzzwords into your brief about the book at the start? Stuff like that. She made me a spreadsheet of publishers she knew had represented different people and explained why they would be good for me, and of agents who had represented certain people and explained why they would be good for me. She did a really, really good job of that. It was an impressive spreadsheet full of what felt like very relevant and detailed information. And so I sent emails, reached out to people. Hey, this person published this book about the creator of the game Civilization and his experience in the gaming industry. I've written a book about the gaming industry. Would you like to check out this thing? Stuff like that. It felt like, you know, I'm reaching out to the right people. That went absolutely nowhere. And then I think after that, I was just talking about publishing the book or trying to publish the book on Twitter, and Hannah Nicklin sent me a DM and saying, hey, I know a guy who publishes mostly plays, but I think he might be a good fit as a publisher for you, and here we are. So I did all of the traditional stuff quite thoroughly over the course of like 2 or 3 months, and then got published because someone Hannah Nicklin is a friend of Sharon Martin, who were actually on the channel yesterday morning. Someone I knew through a friend sent me a message and connected me with you. Like, that was how it actually ended up working. It's frustrating. The world that we live in is so frustrating.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a good experience with the people who sort of made suggestions. I know there are a lot of kind of scam-ish companies out there promising to do this and that, but delivering absolutely nothing. So
That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, they did deliver absolutely nothing, so did I have a good experience? I don't know. I thought that the work they were doing was obviously work. Like, it was obvious that they had actually sat down and done a few hours of work for me using expertise that I didn't have. So
Yeah.
it didn't end up going anywhere, but I didn't feel like I had been cheated.
Yeah, you got a good spreadsheet out of it.
Exactly. I love a good spreadsheet.
Well, yeah. I mean, I came across a company recently. I can't remember their name, but like book influencers on TikTok are the new buzzword for the publishing industry. Of you gotta be into book talk. You gotta be into book talk, and I just do not see fuss quite yet. I know it's galvanizing a lot of people to read certain books. I don't quite know how it would work for you or I. I guess it's one of those things where you don't want to barge your way into a community of fans and try and just ruthlessly sell them something without taking part. So I think if anyone watching is running a successful book talk, then please, by all means, shout about it. But I don't quite know how you get a book on one of those. They mostly seem to be like romance, people getting off on like romance, or someone said they got a cookbook off Book Talk. Do you TikTok, Jorbs?
Do I TikTok? I despise... Here's the thing about me, George. I despise online content. Yet here I am. No, like, I drew the line at short form content. I don't do YouTube Shorts and I don't do TikTok. It was just like the race to the bottom has gone too deep for me, and TikTok's sort of the next evolution of what I do. And a lot of the things that are wrong with TikTok are also wrong with what I do. I am not going to pretend that that isn't true. But I think as somebody who does what I do, I was able to look at TikTok and see all of the things that were wrong with it. And because I wasn't hooked in yet, because I think once you're hooked in, it gets a lot harder to stop. But I wasn't hooked in yet, so I was like, no, I know what this thing is. I know what it's trying to do to get its hooked into my brain. And I am in a position where I can just not engage. So, I am not a TikToker.
Yeah, I tried, but I did not inhale. You know, I don't like what it's doing to my mind. So I have the power to not engage, which is probably the best.
Yes, it is hard to like what TikTok does to one's mind. Yeah.
But if you want to publish a romance novel, it might be worth getting interested. So keep that in mind.
Romance novels, I keep hearing that they are kind of where the money is in publishing, just overall. So maybe that'll be my next thing. I don't know. I occasionally still have the thought, gee, what if I wrote a book about this thing or this thing or this thing? I occasionally sit down and write something for an hour or two. For me, the writing process, though, is usually it's just a journal entry. Maybe sometimes if the journal entry isn't too personal and seems useful for other people, it becomes a blog post. And then once in my life, a blog post was just so big and important to me that I worked on it for 2 years and it was a book. So... yeah, I don't I didn't set out to write a book to begin with, and I don't imagine that if I ever do write a book again, I will feel like I have set out to do so. It's just, I don't know.
I love that it's just
yeah.
it's a blog post that went too far and became a book.
Just kept on going and going and going and going and going.
Well, maybe we hold out for the critically acclaimed HBO adaptation of the book. Runs for 7 seasons. And
7 seasons? Yeah, when thinking about what I was seeing happening around me, all of the events that are described about being on a new and supposedly successful but ultimately failed esports team. That's what the book's all about. When sitting there looking at it, I did find myself thinking about it in television serial form. I do think that there's a TV show of some sort in there somewhere if somebody wants to make it. I think it would be compelling and interesting. I am not going to be the person to make that TV show, though. I think my story is like a perfectly good 2-hour movie, maybe, but I don't see it being 6 seasons. That's too much.
what's the term when it's like a made-for-television, like, special film? I'm trying to remember the... Oh, I can't remember what sort of thing I mean, but like they're often quite low budget, so maybe one of those will come along. Direct to DVD, yeah.
Direct to DVD. Do they still make DVDs?
I know there's a revival of things like vinyl and tapes, but I don't think it's hip to collect DVDs. Maybe video cassettes are back. Who knows?
Oh wow. We've got a few donations for the charity that I should thank people for. Mr. Mukau donated $50. Thank you, Mr. Mukau. And a Tangled Fog donated $50 as well. Thank you, Tangled Fog. And then Lumuri donated $200 just now. Did we break $9,000 or 10,000?
You've got over 10,000, yeah.
We're over 10,000. Did we hit the goal?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I have to make the goal higher then. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of your support this week. The 2 funniest things I can do here are just immediately make the goal higher without acknowledging it, or end the stream. Just like, bye. No, thank you so much. I'm gonna make it 15,000. We've got the better part of 2 days left. It's a stretch, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah. What was
really so cool to see a community just doing good stuff. It's great.
The secret is I just wanted to hang out with my friends all week, pretty much, and so I just like came up with some way that I could get my friends to all hang out with me. The cause is of course wonderful too. What are some good things that you think of when you think about this year for you? What's been exciting in the life of George?
Oh, well, I bought a house with my girlfriend, which has been a big life goal ticked off. Just to know that I'm safe and secure, and only the bank can take it away from me now. I don't know about you. I have moved about 15 times in 20 years.
I am not quite at 15. But I met more than I wanted, that's for sure. Did you... I had this thing when I moved into my house where I had been thinking, you know, this house isn't necessarily perfect. I don't have to necessarily be here forever. I could be moving on in 5 or 10 years, you know, sell it for something bigger, maybe, especially if I get married or something like that. And then I actually moved into my house, and like the stress from the move and everything, and also the feeling of having a home, and this is a place that is mine and I can set up however I want and everything. I just like had this massive, it was like a mindset shift that I could feel happening physically in my body of like, no, this is home, I'm never leaving. Uh,
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's so boring to see. Like, you can think about permanent shelves and stuff like that, and
but it's
just
so
feel like
cool.
feel like a grown up.
Nothing boring about a permanent shelf at all. Oh, I hung a coat rack the other day on my entranceway. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Well, that's been the big life event for me. I think you know, getting your book out, getting another book out by my longtime friend Christopher Brett Bailey. We did his first work of fiction, which I have been encouraging him to write for about years now.
Just
so
a work of any sort, or this particular story had been in his mind for a while?
Not this particular one. He had been writing a novel. I guess the best way to describe it is splattercore. Like, he grew up in a small town on the Canadian borders called Fort Erie, and he was going to write a novella about his high school experience, and he and I were working on that for about 2 years on and off, and then it kind of got shelved, and the pandemic put a stop to our being able to meet in person, which was part of the fun. But he has since written, and we have published a short, sharp novella called I Saw Satan at the 7-Eleven, which is a lot of fun. It's a kind of buddy road trip comedy between a nameless narrator and Satan, who is a kind of washed up, has-been version of the deity that you might know. But
I deny any knowledge of the deity.
Well, it's been a lot of fun getting that out, and you know, a handful of people have read it so far. It's a lot of fun. I think he has a bright future. A film has been optioned, so I know that now means
Ooh,
will
fun.
sit in development hell for next forever.
How did
Probably never
that happen? How did the connection from book to film? Was it just an email that ended up somewhere, or?
He has an agent who is part of a big agency for his theatre work, and they somehow they earned their 10% of whatever by making that introduction.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually like, he's been writing he wrote such a weird life of a writer. So he's a playwright and a teacher most of the time. Got a job writing the jukebox musical for a very well-known US rock band, which I think I found out a few weeks ago is not going to happen. So the entire thing has been shelved, like a year's worth of work.
Oof.
That's life. But I think somehow through one of these connections or other, it made its way to someone in a film development department. And I think his experience of writing film is you hear nothing for forever, and then you suddenly have to do a lot of work by tomorrow, and then you don't hear anything again for many months to a year.
Yeah.
So that could be your experience of the film adaptation at some point.
Well, we can mention that his publisher has a few others. I was impressed by the other stuff you published. Because when I was thinking about, I was talking to an agent who seemed like they cared about what I was doing at about the same time that I was talking with you about publishing through you. And so I was like, do I see what this agent ends up doing, or do I go with George here? And you like shared a couple of PDFs of other books you'd published, and I was like, oh, this is like, yeah, this is the sort of publisher that I want to be going through. These are good stories about people doing eclectic things in a good way. And then anyway, the agent ended up just ghosting me, so that also helped make the decision easier.
Yeah, you read the pandemic diary that I published with my last company, a book called The Club on the Edge of Town, which is to do with a theatre company in a low-income area of Leeds in the UK, called Holbeck, sort of suburb of Leeds. And they, when in the early stage of the pandemic, rather than just closing the doors and taking their furlough money, they wondered how they could best serve their local community, and they turned into a food bank and delivered thousands and thousands of food parcels to people in need. And Alan Lane, the writer of the book and the artistic director of the theatre company, he kept a diary which turned into the book, and God, it was very moving. Such a moving book of people, you know, taking the time to do something selfless and helping other people and working for their community rather than, you know, rampant profiteering or whatever other wonderful stuff that went on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it was nice to see something good come out of the pandemic, I guess, although maybe we can work out how to have good things happen without needing the pandemic from now on. That might be better.
Yeah. I mean, that book again would make a wonderful film, TV series, whatever, and yet you just cannot. I guess you just need such resources to kind of break through into the popular sphere where Oprah or whoever is raving about the book. Who knows? Who knows? As I said, maybe years down the line, a copy will make its way into someone's hands and something big will happen.
Do you play games at all? I'm sure I've asked you this before.
No, I used to have I have never been PC gamer. I had a PlayStation 3 was the last console I had. And then for a very long time I did not allow myself to do anything like that because I was just trying to build my publishing business. And I have a regular Monday night hang with a friend of mine who we have an arrangement where he plays the game and I watch.
Oh, cool.
So we have just been playing like Resident Evil 4 remake, and we played both Last of Us together, and we are now on Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Remastered, which I remember very fondly from my childhood, but we're just getting to grips with that again.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm not a regular gamer, but I think I'm definitely gearing up to maybe some sort of new console. I guess I'm like the person who goes to see one film a year, and it's the Transformers. You know, I'm probably like missing out on so many sort of good indie games.
Yeah, I think one place where I have seen storytelling improve, like the industry of storytelling improve, is in games, definitely. Baldur's Gate 3 was huge this year, and I think it is the best storytelling experience I have ever seen in a game. And maybe just the best one I've ever seen, just a period. Um,
Oh,
Games are getting to a point where they are drama productions which you get to navigate your way through under your own agency, and that is incredibly impressive. My friend Shar has been a writer for games for 10 years or something, and it's really inspiring to hear her talk about writing for games because she is already an incredible writer and an incredibly interesting person with cool ideas that deserve to be written down. But also, she's able to interact with this new medium in such creative ways in order to tell whatever story she wants to tell in the way that fits it. So I've had a lot of really fun experiences with narrative games in the last year and years prior.
my friend is a former opera director turned VR game writer. She's I couldn't tell you what credit she has yet, but she's working with a couple of companies, and I think the potential for storytelling with that tech is going to be really interesting over the next few years, because when you think about kind of storytelling structure with a book or a film, you can't just like veer between scenes and locations without it being incredibly jarring. But it feels like with VR, you can do quite interesting stuff with storytelling. She played me a game that's an adaptation of a Neil Gaiman novel or novella called Wolves in the Wall. Have you heard of
Okay.
this?
I have not, but I definitely am a fan of Neil Gaiman.
It's a sort of scary, fairy tale-y ghost story about a young girl who's sure there are wolves in the wall. I may be misremembering the title, but pretty good enough for this story. And that does such a lot of interesting like scene changes and like location changes and narrative development all within seconds, and yet it makes perfect sense. And I was very impressed by it. I think the kind of I think a lot of people who have traditionally worked in theatre will be making the move into games soon, because there's such a lot of crossover,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially as the kind of CGI like acting gets better and better. You need kind of
Yeah.
directors and playwrights and people like that to make the move over.
Yeah. The last time I was backstage of a theater production was at a gaming studio. Uh, the the theater didn't have a real audience because it was just cameras and everything was dressed up in green and stuff. But there were real actors walking through a real scene, um, recording for a real story. It's just the story wasn't in front of a live audience. It was going to be viewed by people playing a video game. So that is a huge, huge thing. I remember when a cutscene in a video game was like an animated thing, and in my mind it's like, whoa, the animation for this is so great. And nowadays, a cutscene in a video game, there are still animators doing work, but the characters are moving so realistically, and the reason is no longer that the animators did a good job, it is now that they just had real humans perform that, and
Yeah,
then they made them look like a video game character. So that is
it's
pretty
funny
awesome.
playing the Metal Gear 3 again, and obviously that's full of some pretty good cutscenes, some of which, my God, could they have been edited down? So much of the story is told through just the kind of radio screen of two like thumbnails talking to each other, and they can go on for such a long time, and yet the voice acting was so good. It like a pleasure to sit through. Although, yeah, they do veer into pretty crazy territory at points.
I have not played. Was Metal Gear Solid? Were there cars driving around shooting each other, or am I thinking of a different game? I don't think I've played Metal Gear Solid.
No, it was like
What game I'm thinking?
Stealth action adventure.
Oh, is that the one with Snake?
Yeah, that's right.
Ah, that's Metal Gear Solid. Okay. Oh, that's Twisted Metal. Yeah, I think you're right. What about online communities? I've been asking people about cool things happening in online communities for them. You've been working with Mary, of course. That's been really interesting. I got to meet Mary when, like, she was there as well when we were both in LA last year? End of last year? I think
it was this year, you know. It would have been
like this January or something. Yeah, I think you're right. Was it the beginning of this year?
Was it March or May?
It would have been March. It would have been March because it was cold in Seattle. That's why I was so excited to make the trip. Well,
Mary is she's been launching a new community of independent musicians. This stage 1 has been starting a kind of weekly newsletter called the 21st Century Musician. It is taking bits of what she's learned, putting out her own music, and independently writing, recording, and releasing an album.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to, I guess, share knowledge and empower those looking to do the same thing, because it seems like you really don't need a record label anymore if you can, you know, build your own audience. And I guess part of doing that is by creating a community of supportive musicians who might be the ones to give your new song those first few plays or streams or shares.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a really interesting thing to start off. That's on a few thousand subscribers now, of people making their own work rather than just, you know, casual fans of hers. So it's kind of cool to see that not start from the beginning as such, but like a new thing, and then eventually it might move into Discord servers and whichever other way we can think of making it useful to people.
Sure. She launched that through her YouTube, I'm guessing? Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Mary Spender, and then it's the 21st Century Musician. If any of you are musicians and looking to get some advice or just, you know, creative prompts or things like that.
Mary is very impressive to me. She is both an incredible musician and an incredible content creator. And as a content creator, I see the part that's being a really good content creator in ways that maybe a lot of people who aren't content creators don't notice. But, like, I think as a content creator, she is almost as impressive as she is as a musician. And I only say almost because she's a very, very, very good musician. Like, incredibly talented. But so many people in the world think that if you have something that you're good at and that is worth telling people about, like the content creation part of that to like make a successful YouTube channel about it or something like that is just automatic. And that is just so not true. The amount of work that she's done on that channel is very impressive. And you've been helping her with it, so I'm sure I'm telling you things you already know.
Oh, I'm still so unaware of like camera settings and editing and things like that. I'm really
but you're just writing scripts, yeah?
Yeah, helping like research and write, help her kind of say what she wants to say in the best way, much like being a book editor, really.
Right. So while you're trying to talk yourself down, you don't know about the camera settings and stuff. What I'm hearing is that she has someone who has had a career in the publishing industry and understands how to, you know, present the story to an audience and all of the things involved in that, writing her scripts. So, yeah, I mean,
It's been a really nice, like, collaborative process because it's almost like doing a kind of drama read through. You know, we get together and spend a lot of time hanging out on Google Meet or whatever and talking through ideas. And yeah, I never imagined I'd be doing this. It's a fun change of scene from book world.
yeah. The way that I create a video on YouTube for context is I sit down, make a script in my head basically with some notes in either a Google Slides doc or a Google spreadsheet doc. I spend about 15 to 30 minutes on that, and then I record me talking through them in one take, and then I publish it. So, you know, there's some charm to that. People appreciate the integrity, I think. Oh, this is very obviously what he means because he very obviously hasn't bothered to edit it. But yeah, very different from what you and Mary are doing, which is mind-blowing to me.
I think I'd love to go into like longer form documentaries over time. I've been watching a lot of music history documentaries recently and just thinking, wow, that's just... I don't know if you've heard of these films, The Decline of Western Civilization. It's a 3-part punk history. Well, 2 parts punk, one part hair metal.
Okay.
And the director just sort of interviewing punk bands who are playing a concert and also members of the audience, and it's just a really good look at like being a fan and starting out and spending all your time like flyering for your band that you really believe in. And some of them obviously, particularly in the hair metal one, have achieved enormous success, and others never quite make it for whatever reason. And it's such a wonderful visual record of a particular moment in time, and in a way that a book can't quite capture. So
Sure.
I've been enjoying those. They're on YouTube if anyone is interested.
I have a great love of
recommend.
punk music because the disparity between how much the fans care about punk music versus how much the people actually performing the music appear to care about the music they're performing is very I want to say funny, and it is funny to me, but it's also kind of beautiful to me. Yeah.
You a teenage punk? Did you have a teenage like goth phase, metal phase, anything like that?
I was not a teenage punk, but I think as an immigrant, I didn't have a ton of like established friends in school and was clearly someone who didn't quite fit in. And so I hung out with a good number of punks. I remember in journalism class, me and a kid named Tyler would sit on it was like a big cabinet with a heater inside it, and we would sit on that in the back instead of at our desks and talk about skateboarding all day instead of doing any work. So like, I had a little bit of that. I was adjacent to it, but I wouldn't say that I was ever a punk myself.
Do you skate successfully yourself, or were you just enjoying?
I was a rollerblader.
Okay.
And I was good enough at rollerblading to have a scar from rollerblading. I'm not sure if that actually means you're good at it or not. But like, yeah, I rollerbladed quite a lot as a kid.
I tried my only foray into skateboarding was as an adult in the depths of the longest lockdown in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I went with my neighbor who had just we were good friends, and he was really into skating, and I was like, let's go to this parking lot and I will give it a go. And of course, the very first time I do it, at the end of the kind of hour we were doing it, I fell and twisted my ankle, and then had to like limp back and forth to shops to feed myself for the next couple of weeks. And I think he was just like, you gotta just get over that, and I've broken my back, I've broken my wrist.
Not a great sell.
I just don't have that. I just don't have that
Great
in me
sell.
anymore. I don't like getting hurt.
Yeah. Wasn't fun to begin with, to be honest. I've been really enjoying the rock climbing community's approach to content creation in the last like 5 years. I don't know if you are familiar with how YouTube videos are working for the rock climbing community, but it is quite fascinating. I don't quite understand how it happened. Have you seen Free Solo or heard of Free Solo?
I have seen Free Solo, yeah. I used to do quite a bit of climbing when I lived in London with a friend of mine.
Oh, cool.
And we have done some outdoor climbing, and then when I moved out of London, we obviously didn't get the same opportunity to do it. He actually broke his back in one of the climbs. It's inside climbing wall, ropes, very safe, and yet an accident still happened. He and I were both up a wall at the same time, and a pair of girls we were friendly with were belaying us, and he reached and fell, and unfortunately they were talking, and he fell straight to the ground like about 35 feet. And broke a single vertebrae in his back, but the doctors said, oh my god, you have no idea how lucky you are, because you could have just sheared your spine and never walked again. So he got off extremely lightly, but yeah, it can go very wrong. So when I look at a film like Free Solo, you just think, oh my god. I think I'm not built that way to not fear getting hurt or dying. He's a cut above, really. I haven't checked out rock climbing YouTube though.
Rock climbing YouTube kind of feels like the blogger version of Free Solo almost. It's also like 20-minute videos of someone going to do a climb somewhere, and they have a nice intro to the location with a little flyover kind of thing, and then the climb itself with all the struggle and practicing and pain, like a supercut through all of those things. And then you get the full 2-minute long successful climb at the end, and it's a very satisfying 20 minutes of just like beautiful nature, human struggle, and then overcoming. So the talk about punk documentaries made me think of it.
There's an incredible film in the same vein as Free Solo called, I think it's called The Dawn Wall.
Mm-hmm.
You heard of this one?
That's is that also Alex Honnold with Tommy someone? I'm not sure if I've seen it, but I definitely know of it. Yeah.
Tommy Caldwell, yeah. The start of that film is insane, where him and a group of friends are climbing in the mountains somewhere. I can't remember. I think it might be somewhere in the Middle East, and they are captured and marched at gunpoint and held hostage, and they eventually managed to break free and like push one of their captors off a huge mountain and
Oh my god.
then somehow climb to safety. But it's the most crazy start to a film.
And it's
And I don't think he
real in
ever
this
got over the
case.
trauma, really.
Yeah. But it's real in this case, yeah, because it sounds like the start of a
Yeah.
spy movie. It doesn't sound like real life. Oh.
Well, here it is. Yeah, at the age of 22, he was taken hostage by rebels in Kyrgyzstan. Yeah. Quite the story.
Yeah. It makes my life seem very safe and boring. Which, you know, I'll take. Is there anything that you are looking forward to coming up in 2024?
Gosh. It's really boring, but the basement flat in my building has been a proper... I guess you would describe him as a hoarder.
Okay.
He our front garden and back garden is just absolutely filled with washing machines, bikes, in bags of rubbish, all sorts of stuff like that. And he is moving out next week. He's sold his flat, and rubbish clearance is imminent. And I gotta say, that is going to be just such a transformation of my environment that I am very much looking forward to seeing that happen.
I have hired a decluttering consultant before in my life. I can relate to how exciting it is to get rid of all of that, and especially when it's not even your stuff, like that's somebody else's. Yeah, that'll be nice.
The thing that has sort of been a great pleasure, though, is because this garden is so cluttered and untouched by humans. A family of foxes have set up home there. So I have seen over the whole summer a litter of these very sweet fox cubs grow and mature and reach adulthood. So with the clutter, there has been some like beautiful moments of nature rewilding itself. So I will be sad to see them go.
I have a local raccoon family who live underneath my garden shed. Yeah, it's very cute. I am amazed at how fun it is to just sit and look outside. You know, we have spent so many millions or billions of hours of human brain power and ingenuity to create this world online, which enables great things like that you and I can speak to each other about a project that we worked on together despite you living in England and me living in America. At a moment's notice, like I just emailed you earlier this week and asked if you want to do this. But
Yeah.
despite all of that, somehow we have still not reached a point where the sum of human capability can provide me an experience that is better than just walking outside by myself for like 20 minutes. It's just really pretty out there, and walking's really fun. So, I don't know what that says about anything.
Yeah, I agree. I read an incredible book recently about the attention economy, which I found... I don't know about you, my attention has suffered as a result of all the delights online. And that can sometimes lead to feeling a bit sort of lost and confused. And this writer, he's called James Williams, and he's a former Google strategist turned philosopher. And he wrote a book about attention, where he divides our attention into 3 parts. And you have your spotlight, as in like I'm going to go and make a cup of coffee now. You have your starlight, which is your like I'm going to record an album over the next year or so. But then you have the third pillar, which is your daylight, which is your ability to like think and reflect and on why you enjoy the things you do in the first place. And I feel so much of life is missed because you're never free from distraction. So just going for a walk every day without any kind of device has led to a huge kind of change in my life over the last year or so.
I need to read this book.
It's probably a very obvious. I think it's called Stand Out of Our Light. I came to it. It's mentioned in a Johan Hari book. I highly recommend his TED talk. He did I think it's called Stand Out of Our Light.
Mm-hmm. Tristan Harris.
Yeah, that's a kind of roundabout way of saying it's very important to take the time to, as you say, like appreciate the outdoors and focus on a nice fox,
Mm-hmm.
doing its thing in the garden is intensely meaningful sometimes.
Yes, I was going to say that Tristan Harris has been my person for learning about the attention economy and all of that stuff. It feels very relevant to my job, so I'm always eager to learn more.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Stand Out of the Light by James Williams.
Do you have any final thoughts before I need a moment to... I've been saying to become less visited for a bit before my next guest. I'm a gigantic introvert, which places my decision to do this as a career into some questioning light.
Well, what a pleasure to get to spend some time with you here and hang out with your community. It's been doing the book has been enormously rewarding for, I'd say financially, but in terms of getting to know you and getting to work with you, and our kind of long distance working relationship and friendship has been a great addition to the mix. So I'm very happy we connected through Twitter and got to make a book together.
Yeah, way to go, us.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about Twitter, I think, is the stuff that it lets happen that isn't on Twitter. So thank you, Twitter.
Yeah, congratulations on raising so much money as well. It's for a great cause.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you for coming on, George. And I will chat with you again soon.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And I'm
day.
looking forward to my paycheck. Getting a
coming
paycheck. I'm going
first
to
week of
become a
January.
paid author very soon. That's exciting. All right, cool. Well, have a good evening and enjoy hanging out with the partner's parents. Yeah,
not quite mother-in-law, but
all right,
similar thing.
Yeah,
A good one.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
How's it going, Twitch chat? Nice to hang out with George. Oh, I don't have the song name on screen. That's strange. Because, I have the music playing and the... Weird. I just had to, like, click on it and it came back. Strange. Sorry about that. I have not been sleeping well this week, and it's slowly turning into, like, some sort of horrific nightmare. So I'm going to power through today, and hopefully it'll all be good, but gosh, it would be nice to get a good night's sleep. I've definitely noticed at times, playing Spire so far today that I, like, don't really understand how I got where I am. Like, what is happening exactly? That sort of vibe, which isn't a great vibe. Thank you for pointing out Bomba yesterday has become your late entry game of the year. Nice. I actually, I played it a little bit in the middle of the night while I couldn't sleep. I might show it off on stream sometime today. It's so good. Who recommended that? I don't remember. Was that Panacea? That was Panacea, right? Or at least it came up while we were talking with Panacea. Yeah, it's really good. I guess I just do this. I don't know. Bomba. Look at that. It is... Here, let's take a brief break from Spire, because my brain is breaking. I should eat food somehow, too. So this is a Minesweeper situation. And you have two clues here. And the clues are creating spaces. So this clue creates a set of cells in which there can be 0 bombs, because there's a bomb here and a clue that says there's 1 bomb next to it. So this cell here is a single cell set of cells where there can be no bombs. So what this game is I make a rule when there's a set of cells like that. If there's a set of cells where there can be 0 bombs, it's a set of 1 cell with 0 bombs in it, I'm going to sweep it. And then the robot's going to do that for me. Here, this 2 is creating a set of 2 cells where there can be 0 bombs. Anytime that happens, I'm going to sweep it. Here there's a set of 1 cell where there must be a bomb. I'm going to put a bomb on that every time that happens. Here there's a set of 2 cells where there must be 2 bombs. I'm going to put a bomb in both of those when that happens. Now we have another sort of situation, having solved that one. So here there's a set of 4 cells where there have to be 4 bombs. Let's just put bombs on all of those. And all of the rules that I'm making go in a set of rules and are always applied every time that the game sees that situation again. So what I'm doing is I'm not just solving Minesweeper grids, I'm creating logic which will continue to solve Minesweeper grids. I'm going to speed it up a bit. So here we have a more complicated situation. So I have a set of 5 cells. I have a set of 6 cells that have to have 5 bombs in them. And I have a conjuncting? You call this a conjunction? Maybe. I have another set of cells which can only have 1 bomb in them. So the solution to this would be 4 bombs would be here, and then there would be 1 bomb here or here, and no bombs in here. So what I can do here is I can say that this set here is going to have no bombs in it. So I will sweep it. But I can also generalize this rule. I can say that if there's any set of cells here of any number, I can sweep them. And also the size of this set of cells doesn't matter. That can be any size as well, as long as there are 1 or more there. It's just an easy one, 0. This looks a little bit more complicated. I can see this is a set of cells that has to have a bomb in it, and then this one, there's nothing. There's no cell where... I wish that the colors were more distinct. That is my one large complaint with the game, because this is just 4 different shades of blue. Metallic blue, basically. But because there are no cells that greeny blue has by itself, the bomb for it needs to be in the co-joined set, which could be of any size. And anytime that this is going on, then any size of set that is only in the teal set, we can sweep. Intersection. This game is called Bomba. B-O-M-B-E. Here we know that 1 cell from this 2 is going to have to touch this line, so we can say, as long as that's any size, that's any size, we know that this will be clear. This is a very similar sort of rule, just with 3 instead of... Oops, what did I just click? Cancel? Oh god. I don't know what I just clicked. Instead of a 2, it has a 3. I have selected the wrong one. Oh god, everything's exploding. Did I rotate the board or something? What happened? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Did I do it wrong? Oh. What's actually happening here is because there has to be 1 bomb here, so those 2 bombs, those 2 have to be bombs. How do I say that as a rule? I think what I can do here is I can create a new set. So I can say when this happens, this part becomes a new set, which has 2 bombs in it. And I can make that as a rule. Yeah, that's the game. I'm not going to play it a ton. I might play it more on stream later, I don't know. But it is so good. Such a good game. Your brain can't handle that. It only gets more complicated and continues to get more complicated for a long time. It's quite charming. George has gone off into his day. I am still here. In another 20 minutes or so, we will be chatting with Pastoroni Ravioli and Getawid, which is so exciting. They are 2 friends of mine, also from England. Git is. Pastoroni Ravioli is from the East Coast somewhere of the US, who started dating online right around the start of the pandemic, and then had long distance for a couple of years, not able to see each other because of the pandemic, and then have actually gotten to start seeing each other and doing things together this year, and it has been so cute. Oh my gosh, they're so adorable. I'm very excited to get to talk to them. I've never gotten to have a conversation with the two of them without something else going on around it. I did actually a podcast with Gid on his channel. He invited me to do a podcast with them, and that was really fun to chat with them for a while. But I've never chatted to them as a couple. And they both have such lovely energy, and the way that they offset each other is just really wonderful, so I'm looking forward to it. I am going to stretch my legs. It's a good idea. Jorbs break is a good idea. I will be right back. Twitch chat. How are you? What happened in the silent run I just played? I had like shivs, yeah? That was kind of a fun run. I decided that I'm not going to replay Ascensions if I don't kill the heart, but do unlock the next Ascension. It just seems like unnecessary suffering. I just don't need to do that to myself. So, yeah. This deck's pretty bad, actually. It has 4 defragments in it, but they, like, aren't upgraded. And my potions are bad enough that I think I have to rest here instead of upgrading. Assuming that I want the elite. I don't know if I actually wanted the elite. Static Discharge would be good against this enemy. I could draw it. How have people been enjoying hearing me chatting with my friends? I didn't spend a ton of time thinking that hard about the viewing experience for this week. I just kind of wanted to do this, so I did it. I hope this has been fun for you. Been delightful, very cozy. That's the goal. There's a lot of math to do here, isn't there? It's at 24 or less, which is 74. I need to evoke 7. Yeah. Where does that leave me? I went to self-repair buffer. Self-repair Electro, then I only have to evoke 5, right? So take 21. Seems the same as playing buffer. Okay. Hold on. You guys went to defrag. I don't know. Runs kind of feel like the random videos we put on shorts that are just voice, originally to capture our attentions. I understand what you said, but I read it very strangely. The runs kind of feel like the random videos people put on shorts that are just voice originally. Capture our attention. Yeah. But in a good way. That's good. %50 of your music taste comes from JORBS streams. I'm glad I could provide that service to you. I'll upgrade a buffer, maybe, against Hyper Beam Man. Ah. Frag. Buffer, though? Buffer's a pretty decent upgrade in this deck, I think. What are punctuations and spelling? I don't know. Don't ask me. That's what my publisher was for. He had to put those in the book. Well, he probably didn't have to, but he insisted for some reason. I think it would have been better without. It actually didn't even have spaces in it. It was just all lowercase letters, no spaces. And you have a publisher for Twitch chat? You want to just, like, publish Twitch chat? JORBS chat logs, the coffee table book. It sounds sweet. I'd read it. On the Road was published with no, like... Okay, I don't actually remember. But that's what you're talking about, right? Kerouac? That was On the Road, yeah. And it got turned into like a popular film adaptation or whatever. Yours thinks that your comments won't be a book. And yeah, you just have to get on Book Talk. That was my takeaway. Apparently Book Talk is the future. I wonder if I will ever publish another book. Didn't James Joyce write some famously unreadable nonsense book too? Ulysses? Was that James Joyce? Does this deck take Pyramid? I'm not sure that's what this deck needed, but I'll take it. The more nonsense one is Finnegan's Wake. Ah. There's one that's more nonsense than Ulysses. I see. I tremble in fear. Hey, Pastoroni Ravioli, how are you? I'm looking forward to talking to you so much. Bring me your energy. This is always more nonsense on the other side. You can jump in voice chat if you want. Stuff. I am ready to chat if you are. Cool. Reminds you of Arctic Monkeys. Mitski. Isn't Mitski what Kathleen said? Or someone else said that Mitski was going to be album of the year on their list. Don't remember him. I should listen to more Mitski. It's very pretty. How could that be album of the year is not ska? What's your pick for ska album of the year then? Is ska a particularly exclusive musical genre? I feel like a lot of ska musicians would be completely fine with someone saying that what they made was ska. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Sleepy. I'm so sleepy right now. I usually wake up early, but today was one of those days where I just didn't want to get out of bed.
And I just got back from the football. My team, Luton Town, just lost 3-2 to Chelsea, which is not something I thought I'd be saying.
Is
This
Chelsea?
They're a big team.
They're a big team,
Yes.
and Luton Town is a smaller team.
Yes, very much so.
So was that in
Yeah.
like a Champions League kind of thing, or?
It is the Premier League, so Luton got promoted at
Oh,
the end
okay.
of last season. So we're technically in the Prem.
Oh,
but,
cool.
You know,
Prem?
in the Prem. But yeah, exactly. It's been it's been an interesting time so far. Everyone thought they'd get destroyed every week, so they've already beaten the worst points record. So people can't laugh at us for that anymore.
Cool.
We'll see what happens.
You need to be above the bottom 3 to stay in the league. Is that how it
Correct.
works?
We are currently 1 point off of the people above us. We're in 17th. Plus 18th. Sorry,
Relegation.
18th. That's
Eight.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Sandra
really
things,
cool.
too.
How long have you been following them for?
A very long time. I mean, I was forced to follow them for a long time. My dad, my granddad especially was a big fan.
Mhm.
I think ironically he was, so it was during or just after the war that he went with his buddies to go watch a match, and I think he was supposed to go watch a Chelsea match, and the trains got cancelled or something that day, so they went to the closest one they could go to. And then he was a Luton fan for about 75 years. So, and he made it all the way to 97, and then unfortunately passed away. But the year we got promoted, which was this year, it would have been his 100th birthday. So I feel like on some level,
Yeah.
like something was written in the stars there. So
Yeah, that's really special. Are you able to share it with your dad? Is he still a fan?
yeah. He is obsessed. He is how you are with strategy games, with football. I
So
feel like.
he gets very into all of it.
Very much so.
For Christmas, I had his dad for Secret Santa, and I was trying to find some form of Luton merch that he didn't already have. And finally, I just asked his mom, I'm like, what do I get him for Christmas? Because he has everything. And she's like, just get him some slippers, please.
I'm
He
going
just
to
has all the Luton stuff.
put your. Is this a new VTube model?
This is, it's been about a year. My new one is done, just waiting.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've seen you like spoiling that there's a new one in the works. This is
I wish it
cool.
was-
Tell me about it.
I think you're the
Hey.
first. You're the first VTuber on cam on my stream. I think this
Oh,
has
let's
been
go.
a flesh tuber only.
Let me turn my light on one second.
Oh, we're getting good as well? Okay. I need to make another capture then. I can do this. I can do this.
You've got
There we go.
this. If I make weird faces, it's because I'm drinking really hot tea and I refuse to let it cool.
Am I getting your camera good? Sometimes
I'm
it's
just
glitchy.
seeing.
Oh,
I'm just
yeah,
seeing
there
the
it goes,
Discord
there it
picture.
Perfect.
Hello.
We are on.
I can prod you guys. Go that way. This way. That way.
So I know you two from one of the most bizarre and fun things that's ever happened to me in content creation, which was Among Us. Among Us led to me getting more into playing games with other people in general, and I played a lot of games with Hafu. And Hafu was playing so much Among Us that she had her own group of people that she played with, and then she had, I think, like 2 or 3 other groups of people who she regularly played with as well when Among Us came out and was a huge craze. And she invited me to come play with the coolest, chillest crowd that she had found on the internet. Thought that I would match up well with everyone, which was... I still don't quite understand who I was playing with a lot of the time that I was playing Among Us, and there were a lot of times where I would play a game and then I would look up someone online afterwards and it's like, oh, you have a fashion line or something like that. It was always kind of wild. But this is like a group of so the Sidemen are like football content creators in the UK primarily, yeah?
They're just massive creators in the UK.
Okay.
They're more known for their football content, or were originally.
Okay, but they've expanded.
But yeah,
out,
they branched out more into everything. Like they have their own fast food line now. They have their vodka. They have
a fashion line.
Yeah, they have a fashion line. They got honestly like the market on tap in the UK.
Okay. And so I was in this Discord and I'm playing Among Us with all these like incredibly kind, lovely people from the UK. And like one of them is publishing her first single like music piece, Talia Mar. So I'm like messaging her, like she's looking for content creators to play it on stream to get the hype up and stuff, and like this incredibly wild time in my life where all of this is happening. And you two were part of all that with me, and just more my speed, honestly.
Jorbs just had a bloodlust the whole time he was playing Among Us. That's why he doesn't remember anybody. He was a brutal, chaotic man, and the only people that could calm him down, we were the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow to his Hulk. Yeah. That's all it was. It's like, sun's getting real low over there, my friend.
It was a fun time, though. It was fun.
I think what was crazy for me was like I'd watched a lot of your content anyway, because I don't understand this game, and ultimately I was like, wow, I've never really understood deck builders, and it's too confusing for my brain to figure out. And I would watch Jorbs, so even ending up in the same like lobby as you, I was fangirling really hard at the time. And other people were like, who is this guy? I'm like, yeah, he's an inspiration. Screaming at people and stuff. And then yeah, to the same letter of what you said, you know, there was like LV, what's his face, the guy who plays Magic, who's like really big in the Magic scene.
LSV, yeah.
LSV, there you go. And I was like, I had no idea who he was, and he was very, very lovely, singing our praises and stuff. But it was so crazy to me to sort of be introduced to this world of other games. And I still am only a little Ascension 12 scrub who is maybe Ascension 2 on Watcher, and I don't, it annoys me every time Jorbs is like, Watcher's so easy, it's so overpowered, and I'm like, I can't do it. And I think a big part of the reason is that my attention span when it comes to watching your videos is there's the part of me that's really stubborn and doesn't want the answer, and the other part of me is like you're gonna figure this out one day, you're gonna get it. But because I don't have the knowledge of what I should be running, then I get myself into a tizzy. But it put me onto what I'm getting from that was you put me onto other games as well, like Monster Train. I started playing that.
Oh, cool.
I started to understand how Hearthstone worked. It just sort of made sense to me. At that point, I played Inscription, and I really enjoyed Inscription.
Inscription is
so like
wild, yeah.
Yeah, so there were a lot of games that I sort of discovered through watching you play this. So
That's really cool.
I'm gonna clip that part where Gid's like, I'm stubborn.
don't need to clip it. I can tell you happily. What I was gonna ask, Jorbs, is have you got any like little goals going on for when people donate, or can I incite some chaos for you?
Oh, please incite some chaos.
Wonderful. I feel like for every donation within the time that me and Steph are here, we should get a meow from Jorbs. So if you want to hear Jorbs meow,
You're
we'll
signing
see if we can
me
maybe
up for a donation. Something. I am doing something.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
I see.
And then what I was also thinking, if there were some really generous people that did want to donate, I don't know what number we could set it as, but I felt like it would be quite cool if we could make you have to discard a random card. So if it's like 25 or 20 or $25 or something, like in the shop, I mean like you should have to sell.
Remove.
Yeah, you should have to remove a card. And like they'll just pick a number, and then you go through in the deck and you find out which number
you're
card that is, and
really-
you have to remove
You're
it.
really bringing chaos.
I thought it would be quite nice to incite some chaos. We could limit it to like once per round or twice per round or something like that if you wanted. But I just felt like, you know how Ascension 11 works. You're
I
fine.
have
You
lost
got loads of
2
room.
runs already.
Oh, that's because we
Oh.
weren't here. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm alright with meowing. Maybe I'll make some poor decisions with the deck. What I have been doing is every $5,000 raised, we've been doing a chat draft where the viewers get to choose all the cards. So
That's
I
cool.
did the
That's
second
very
one of those last night, and that was a lot of fun.
Ah, that is fun.
Rism Phoenix donated $15 to support Free2Luv. Okay, I donated. Can I get Gid to meow? Look
I
at
mean,
how
I've-
the tables have
I've got
turned.
it. What kind of meow are you after,
Oh.
Chris? What kind of
Well,
kind of
what
meow?
are the options?
You've got that one where people are convinced that they can speak cat online, and they're like, you can say "come here" in cat.
Who?
There's a bunch
Who
of
says
videos.
this?
There's videos online. I spend too much time online. So we
Yeah,
could
you
test
do.
it. To be fair, we could test it with Jorbs' cat.
Have y'all ever heard that? This is
That
not really
golem.
appropriate, but there
That
was
didn't
like
work.
that those cats. Like, what is it? They're like "Meow, meow, 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 meow." They like do that babble. You know what I'm talking about? Those little shorts where the cats are just like meow, 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 meow. Talking. I'm obsessed with those shorts.
Oh, where they're like beating each other up, like they're whacking each other in the head. Is
Yes.
it that one? That's a very funny cat meme.
It's not very nice, but it cracks me up.
Yeah, people say if you do then it means come here in cat. I don't know how true that is.
I don't think they know what we're saying.
We're waiting to see
They
how the
are
cat
also
shows.
asleep upstairs.
Not
Aw.
anymore.
Hear
They're
me?
now like, who's calling me?
Well,
Wow.
thank you, Pastoroni Ravioli, for the $50 donation to support Free2Luv.
Gollum cat.
To Unpath Waters. Thanks for the $15 donation to support Free2Luv. If that was the $50 meow, the $15 meow can't be quite as good.
I
You
agree.
could always give us a purr.
I think he just wants to hear you purr, Jorbs.
Well,
I mean,
have done that
hey,
off
the money is going to charity. Look at how great we're doing.
Optimich,
That's
thanks for the $5 donation to support Free2Luv. Meow.
That one was
Beautiful.
amazing. That was my favorite one so
I got
far.
dialed in. I
Yeah.
got dialed in, yeah.
Channeled your inner kitty
Incredible.
cat.
I have spent more of my time with cats than humans, probably, in the last 3 years. So I feel uniquely suited to
Mhm.
this challenge.
That's
This is
true.
your
We are playing
calling.
into your strengths. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember back when I was working at the hospital, watching your streams. You know how Gid was like, oh, Ascension 11, blah, blah. I have watched Jorbs for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Especially when I was at the hospital. I would just have him in the background while I was like compounding stuff or writing reports or whatever. And I still don't know what's happening.
so much
but I
so
like
that
it.
I ended up buying you Slay the Spire.
You
And you used to play
did.
it like in between codes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
my god.
Yeah. If I had downtime at the hospital, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to click this card because it's pretty. And I'm going to click this one. And I died.
How
That's
long?
super fun.
How long ago did you go full time as a streamer? Because that was a big thing for you somewhat
Yes,
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
Wow.
Doesn't feel that long.
E.G, thank you for the $75 donation to support Free2Luv.
That's amazing. That was like a cat just being like kind of offended, but mostly shocked.
That was like Simba in his teenage years. I feel like when he was just about trying to discover being a lion.
Yeah,
He was almost there.
my meow hasn't quite dropped yet. Yeah. Well, I've completely forgotten what we were talking about. All right,
I mean,
going
Slay the
full
Spire.
time as a.
At what
streamer.
point do you feel like you've milked enough of Slay the Spire? You know, are you ever gonna put it down?
Oh, I am actually planning to play more of it this coming year. That's
Incredible.
one of my things because I only played 30% of my stream time this year was Slay the Spire.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
That's a
Wild.
lot less.
Yep, I've been mainly doing other stuff, and yeah, I miss it a bit. It's a really good game, in my opinion.
I've
I agree.
been enjoying watching you play Baldur's Gate. I've been lurking. It's been very good.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate is incredible. That's my pick for. Well, I think I have several Game of the Years, but that's definitely one of my picks for Game of the Year.
Yeah, mine too. It's really good. I'm playing it with my brother right now, and it's making it really uncomfortable.
Oh, are you Team Astarion?
Of course I am.
That is the stereotype.
Every night, he's just like sucking on my neck, and I'm just like.
Oh,
My brother's like, please, just tell him no today. He's like, I don't want to see this.
I streamed it once, and then during that, I don't know, I was just having some issues with my PC, I guess, and I'd rolled a nat 20 on a check that was really important, and then the game crashed, and I went back and loaded it up, got back to that point, and I rolled a 3. And at that point, I was like, I'm probably not going to stream this for now. I'm going to put it down. Just going to play it in the comfort of my own time.
I think I've probably played it offline as much as I've played it online. It's such a good game, both for streaming and for just playing. Meow. Meow.
What did your Steam awards say for your year? Like your year review on Steam?
Thanks for the $25 donation, Shelby Cool. Thanks, Waterfeather, for the $25 donation. I didn't know that was a thing. There's a thing? There's a Steam...
Yes.
Where do I find
Steam
it?
did a year in review.
In
They'll
my
have sent you an
profile,
email
or
for sure.
Year in review?
I think you go to your Steam profile and you can click. Oh wait, it's not there no more.
Yeah, it
Wait,
used to
let
be
me go
there.
to. I think
They
it's at the
definitely sent an
store.
email.
Oh,
I don't actually... Let me tell you something about whether I read my emails or not.
Same.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I open the Steam store, it should be right there. Store. My Steam store says
I'm not
payment
seeing it
method.
there. Yeah, I'm not seeing it there.
Oh, there it is. Steam
anymore.
Winter Sale. Vote for your favorite games.
No.
There are so many. Best of 2023? No.
No.
Ooh, it recommends Chants of Sennar and Cobalt
Oh.
Core. It knows me.
My recommendations are Sunken Land, Destiny
Same.
2 Lightfall, and Project Zomboid. And Ark.
Are they recommendations or are they
Did
just...
they do endless scrolling for the Steam store page now? That is so weird.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I don't have a year in review. I don't know. I don't know what my year in review was.
Can you click your notifications bell and then click view all? And it might say-
Notifications bell. View all. Winter sale. Oh, year in review is ready. Yeah, there we
Perfect.
go.
Oh my god, my brother sent me. I'm so glad you said a notification bell. I didn't even realize that was there. And my brother sent me 3 games for Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
110 games played. 81 of
Incredible.
them new. 812 achievements. I played Slay the Spire 21% of playtime, Brotato 20% of playtime. How I compare. I
Yeah.
play more games than other people. That's not super surprising.
Surprisingly
by a
enough.
lot. My longest streak was 52 days, which is actually less than I would have guessed. That actually really surprises me.
When you play Slay the Spire, do you play it through Steam?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
64% of my playtime was in games that were new releases this year, which means like less than 36% of my playtime was Slay the Spire.
There you go. You've been doing some real
Yeah.
variety.
Yeah.
It's good.
I like turn-based strategies and roguelike deck builders, but also tower defenses, bullet hells, card battlers, and automation, apparently.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
My
169 Spire sessions. Nice.
wow. My most played game for game time was Slay the Spire with 15%. And I've only ever streamed it once. So I played that game more offline. I've got 700 hours, but considering like the rest of it's full time streaming other things,
Yeah.
I find that quite fascinating.
I played
what
a lot of
mine-
Storybook Brawl at the start of the year. I was enjoying some Storybook Brawl, and then
Mm.
the game servers got taken offline. It was very sad.
Oh,
Orb of Creation's kind of a funny graphic for me. It has like moments where I lost my entire soul to it for an entire month, and then I don't play it for like
Yeah.
3 months afterwards. Huh. This just keeps going forever too, doesn't it? Okay, I'm bored
believe
of
so.
it now.
Have you ever played
was
God of War?
I don't believe I have.
That was really good. It was one of those things that surprised me because I know people were always talking about it. Like, I've only played the first new one as such. I haven't played Ragnarok, but that was one of those games that people kept bringing up, like, this is game of the year, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And eventually I got it gifted to me and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And I can see why people talked it up so much. It is a very, very fun game to play if you're looking for something like
Oh.
out of left field.
One
So-
that I'm still working my way up to is Elden Ring. My Elden
Mhm.
Ring experience was I installed it, I got up to the main menu, and then I got overwhelmed and I never made a character and started playing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is overwhelming. I got like through the first part and I didn't really know where I was going. And then I got like kind of trapped and people were like, oh, you weren't supposed to go here until this time. I was like, you know what? I need linear structure.
Mhm.
So I didn't play it after that. It was too much. It's how I felt with Dark Souls too. It's like, I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm doing or why I'm doing this. So bye.
It's on my list because
Mm.
I don't know. I'm a gamer. I have to play a Souls-like someday,
Yeah.
and I still haven't
For sure.
ever. Unless Cuphead is a Souls-like. Maybe it is.
I mean, it felt like it at times.
Yeah.
Cuphead was brutal, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
How did
Did you play it
two-
on expert?
I think so. I don't remember.
Hmm.
How did you two meet?
Oh God.
I'm
I'll let
sure-
you say.
I'm sure you've told everyone all of these things, but I don't think I actually know.
Go ahead.
Testing
Go ahead,
things. Where does the rabbit hole begin? So we met officially through a game at the time called Twitch Sings, which kind of shocks people a bit. But I was prior to that, I've been streaming since 2016. So I became a community manager for a game called Dead by Daylight, and was focused on that a lot. And in nearer the beginning of my streams, I'd do a lot of like acoustic stuff. I'd play guitar and all that jazz. It's funny that you were talking about ska before I came in here, because I used to be in a ska band as well, which people don't know about. It was called Acting the Goat. That was how old were we? I don't know, 15, 16, something like that. But yeah, enjoyed it very much. And then so we met through Twitch Sings. Pasta was a community manager for Twitch Sings at the time, and I was a community manager as well. And I feel like we bonded not just over being able to sing together, which was nice. It was also over doing a similar job and understanding, like, I could go to her and I could vent about things, and she could vent about things to me as well, and know there was like work related stuff. So there was like a mutual understanding, I'd say, on that level. But she was very, very funny, and I enjoyed every time we'd sing a song together. And then and then
You two are too
and then about 6 and then we sort of stopped talking. It turns out that you'd been watching me way before I knew about you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to watch games that I don't play. I really do. I watch a lot of like strategy games, Dead by Daylight games. I watch a lot of horror games. I already watched your stream before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I already kind of knew you a little bit. I saw you through Meg's stream, so yeah. Yeah.
So then, it was about 6 months down the line or something like that I actually went to Asta for advice, because I was getting ghosted by another woman that I was talking to, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. It was kind of one of those, like, I need to talk to someone outside of the situation about it, and then we just sort of hit it off, really.
For context, I used to call him for like community management advice a lot, because he would always be up early in the morning because of the time zones, and I used to work at that point I was working at like a retail pharmacy doing like training for people, so I'd have to be up at like 6 a.m. and he would be the only one that would be awake. Also, he gave great advice, but it was also that he was awake at that time and I needed advice how to handle a situation. So like he always gave me really good advice. We always really vibed well, and we were always kind of there for each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
But
you
that-
started dating from there at kind of the beginning of the pandemic, right?
Yeah, Twitch isn't a dating site, okay? We've talked about this several million times. So that's something that people always bring up. It's like, I get it. Finding like-minded people, it's hard for people on the internet sometimes too. So, but yeah, we just hit it off, and then we had plans to go to see Pearl Jam, because Pearl Jam were playing in London, and it was one of Pasta's favorite bands.
Yeah, I love Pearl Jam.
So it was like, that would be cool, you know, a reason for her to come over to the UK. We can go watch the show together. It'll be really nice. And then COVID hit.
We
Yeah.
made those
And-
plans for my birthday, which is April of 2020.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the whole world shut down.
What
It
day in
shut
April?
down in its entirety.
April 3rd.
On the 21st. It's a good birthday month.
Heck yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that happened, and then yeah, the world closed down. So it went from sort of knowing each other, developing feelings, and then recognizing that you can't see each other. Like it was very odd. It was a very odd situation. You know, because I don't know how long it was before we actually like officially met, but it was a long time. So it was we put our community manager roles into effect, I guess, really, and made sure we talked every day and hung out, and then eventually got to the point where we could see each other. And before all that happened, there was a lot of stuff Steph went through as well. Not so good stuff.
Mhm.
This is where you take over.
I was just real sick, so I couldn't travel or anything. So yeah, so it was just one of those things where when there's a pandemic, you got to stay home, which was crazy because I was working at the hospital at that time. I went from a retail pharmacy and then I got a hospital job during the pandemic, which was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and then just we've been back and forth, so it's been working out okay, I guess. It's a lot. It's a lot.
The
like
is a lot.
first time you met was earlier this year. You went to England, and
last year. We
is that
went
right?
Wait, when did we? It was.
Kakira, the $1 donation. I feel like okay. My understanding of the passage of time is like maybe irrevocably annihilated by the pandemic is something that I'm
Yeah.
realizing. So you might be right. It might be last year, but I remember very vividly and excitedly following the trip on social media because Gid had just like planned all these things for you to do, like meeting all of the people, lots of the people that I had played Among Us that I have never met. Maybe someday
Yeah.
I'll come to England and get to meet some people, but I still haven't. So that was just
Oh.
really, really super cool and cute to see. And I think something that like speaks to me personally about this kid is that I've heard you talk a lot about having like social anxiety and having trouble planning things and stuff like that. And like watching all the stuff that you had planned that week and like seeing how obviously you were having so much fun was just like really incredible to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just checked my phone. It was the pictures from our first trip was July 2022, which is still wild to think about. That
Yeah.
was it was that recent.
Yeah, 2.5 years after the start of COVID.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we've been together since 2019, so it's like still crazy to put that into perspective. And then, so yeah, we had that happen. It was very difficult. I'm very much a homebody as well. I tend to shy away from going out, or especially at that time, I was I was struggling a lot with my own mental health, and yeah, the thought of going outside plagued me. a lot. So I'm usually okay when I know what I'm doing or where I'm going. But as soon as you throw a curveball in there, or like a train isn't running or something like that, I become a bit of a mess. So yeah, it was a lot to go from having sort of been at home a lot to then planning a trip, because at that point a lot of our friends that you know were mutuals for us both at that point, and I felt like it would have been a waste for her to not meet all the people that she's met through various things like Among Us and other stuff like that. So yeah, we planned too much stuff. That was definitely the problem.
We slept through something. I slept and I was like, I'm just gonna lay my head down for 5 minutes. There's so many things, and then we're almost late to that dinner.
Yeah,
I literally just rolled over. I was like, oh, I had this whole outfit planned. I was planning to get like ready and stuff. Rolled in with like jeans and a flannel, and I'm just like, hey.
It was because we'd gone to see the Book of Mormon.
That's right.
Taking you to see that. If you haven't seen it, it's very funny. So yeah, we'd gone to see that and then got back after eating and then fallen asleep because of jet lag and just the sheer anxiety of it all, and then woke up with maybe 10 minutes before we were supposed to be at a dinner, like with all of our friends, and I was in a cold sweat on that train. Absolute panic station, being like, oh my god, we're gonna be late, this is awful. We managed to get there in time, but yeah, I remember that very vividly. But everybody was so happy to see you and all that jazz.
Yeah,
so,
it was really nice. Yeah, you went above and beyond. You did so many things, like you planned so many things for us, like museums, and met your parents, and wait, was it that trip or was it the other one? We've had so many since then.
It was that trip, yeah, without like going into loads of detail, but yeah, it is very weird to have, you know, met her for the first time like officially, and then be like, okay, here's my parents.
Yeah.
As well. It's like, but at that point it's been 3 years, you know. It was a very odd situation in that regard. And then since then, I mean, it going back to it being a full-time job, streaming and stuff, it's very helpful in a sense, because that gave us more excuse to meet up, to go to like Twitch cons and stuff like we could make it work, you know. We could meet up for work. So there haven't really been many trips for us where we've not been doing something. There's always been some sort of
like
nose to the
work-related.
grindstone.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the story of how I met my best friend's now wife? Because I found myself thinking about it when you talk about that dinner.
Oh yeah.
Because that would have been the first time you were meeting those people, yeah?
Yeah.
So my best friend in high school went off to college on the East Coast and met a girl. They got pretty serious. And one of the summers, we were all back in Seattle, and his girlfriend was going to come, and he was really excited to introduce her to all of us. So he had all of us get dinner at Denny's. Denny's is not a high-class establishment here in America, but it was fine. It was fine, whatever.
Denny's is great.
So we all went there, and we were getting dinner, and the plan was he was going to pick his girlfriend up at the airport and come and have dinner with us. And so we had like an expected time when he would arrive, and we were all just sitting there talking. Unfortunately, we were all friends, you know, so we were okay just hanging out and talking, but he was just like not there. He just didn't show up, and he wasn't responding to his phone, and we just weren't sure what was happening. And then one of us, I was facing away from the parking lot, and someone on the other side of the table was like, oh, I think that's his car. And they were just making out in the parking lot the entire time
Bless him.
in his car.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
that is
so
wild.
I will never let him live that down.
Yeah, I was
That's
more
amazing.
concerned about being late than I would be about
Yeah.
sitting there doing that. I'd have been like, oh no, people are waiting. So,
Yeah, we're both people pleasers, aren't we? A
little bit.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So what have been the best things of this year for the two of you in terms of these online spaces that we live in?
Go ahead. I feel like I talk a lot.
Online spaces?
Yeah.
I mean, on what, 4 days ago, I just hit that kind of a big deal achievement, which was have people watch your channel for 500,000 hours, and that felt very odd because that's 57 years that people have been watching my content, and
Yeah.
I guess like that, when you start to put it, like, break it down like that, it still is incomprehensible, like, to really get to the bottom of things. It's like when people, you know, when I listed how many YouTube views you were on, you know, like, at some point it's just a number. It's that kind of thing. So that was a big goal. I try and think about it in that sense as something to be proud of.
Yeah, it is
for
something
me
to be proud of, for sure.
Yeah, for me, like, outside of the online space, it's definitely been, I've spent the last 13 months going to therapy every week, and I feel as though that's been my biggest achievement this year.
Oh yeah.
Has been the progression I've made mentally in terms of being more mindful, sort of being able to stand up for myself a bit more, understanding that, for example, like, anger is an emotion that we can feel, but doesn't have to constitute someone being mad at someone or other things like that. I feel like there's a lot of that stuff that's opened up my mind to being more content with who I am as a person. So I'm more looking forward to how I approach 2024 moving forward.
That's really awesome. I did therapy around about the start of the pandemic. I was having some pretty terrible imposter syndrome and like messing me up. I did some cognitive behavioral therapy, which helped a ton. And then I thought I was good, probably, and then around about the start of this year, I started struggling to sleep because I was having work stress related thoughts at night, and so back to therapy. It's a never-ending struggle existing as a human being, isn't it? But you can definitely get better at it or worse at it, and it's a lot better to get better at it than it is to get worse at it.
Yeah.
With therapy, it's one of those things where it's like, it's something that I never looked at it as here is my end goal, even though I'm very much goal oriented, and that's part of why I go to therapy is because I have imposter syndrome. I have a lot of anxiety with work. I overwork a lot, and I had to have my therapist be don't look at this as this is your goal. You have to have it done by this time. You need to look at this as a tool. And then once I started really, you can hear somebody say that, but once you start utilizing it that way, then it's a lot easier, I feel like. For me, at least. Like, I always looked at it as like, oh, I'm not going to have any anxiety at the end of these next 7 sessions.
Right.
I would literally do that in my head. And it's like, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So
Yeah.
it's just something that like you pick up and then you put down when you don't need it as much.
I have fortunately
Congrats, by the way, on
found.
that run.
Thank you. I have fortunately found that attitude toward therapy seems to have improved a lot in the last few years. The first time I was ever in therapy, I did feel kind of self-conscious about it, like there's something wrong with you if you have to go to therapy, kind of thing. And the reframing of it that has helped me a lot is to think of it just as there are people who have like gone to college to study how like brains and emotions work, and you can pay them to spend one-on-one time with you. And how cool is that? So you have to
Yeah.
spend your entire life with your brain and your emotions. There are people who can help you get better at it. So
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the thing about therapy is there's a lot of like what you said to do with once this is over, I'll be better, or like I'll be fixed. And the thing is, you might have that week to week as well. Like there might be a really good week where you unlock a load of stuff and you're just mentally like, wow, can't believe I got through that. And then you'll go home and you'll regress about 10 steps because of the fact that you were open about that one thing that's closed you off to the other 10 things that you didn't know happened to you. So like that's all part of the journey, I feel like. And a big part of understanding yourself is recognizing that you are that you do have the ability to change, and I guess not holding judgment or shame or guilt takes time to be able to. You've got to communicate it to really unpack it in the first place, because a lot of those questions that you might get asked, it might be completely minor thing. I once got asked in therapy, one of the questions that really threw me for a loop was, do you believe you're a good person? And it was just at the time that it was said, and the way it was said did something. It flicked a switch in my head. And those kind of moments are the ones where you can really start to look in those folders in your head that you haven't opened, or you've crossed wires, or you don't know where you've put something, and that it starts to make a lot more sense. But yeah, our brain is just a big sort of slinky, and sometimes it just needs sort of to be sort of untangled.
yeah, I had a moment of therapy where I was, I think, just talking about some plans I had with friends or something. My therapist is very good at giving me tools, and one of them was like a little template for trying to make changes, just to think about them logically. So I was like planning to do something and then actually executing, doing it, and then maintaining that habit afterwards. Basically, simplification, but basically. And so I was trying to spend more time with friends. And so I had made plans with friends, and I was getting kind of excited to go do some stuff and hang out. It's not that I feel like I struggle to spend time with friends or feel bad about it ever or anything like that. It's just like I wasn't making much time in my life to actually do it. That feeling of being an overworker that you were talking about, stuff.
Yeah.
And also the way that everything can be work and streaming. Like even when I am seeing my friends, it might be at a convention or something where it's like kind of actually a work weekend as well as being a chance to see friends. But anyway, I finished therapy and I was like, that was a pretty good session, but nothing was super remarkable about it. And I do teletherapy, so I'm like sitting here when I do therapy, and I got up to the stairs right there and had to sit down against the wall and cry for 15 minutes.
I've been there.
Something in my brain like woke up. It was like a door opened to a room that I hadn't been in for 3 years, and whatever was in there was like terrified of, like, it was like, what the fuck is going on? I just hadn't access to the like, hey, we kind of like hanging out with people and just having fun, part of my personality and brain for all that time since pre-pandemic, pretty much. And so I had to like sit with it and calm it down for a bit. And now it's back in you know, it is an untangled part of the slinky again.
For sure.
Which is awesome.
When you're like an overworker, or like you're always like trying to make like these, like setting yourself up, like when you have like an imposter syndrome, I feel like it's always the things that, it's not that what you won't allow yourself to do because you shouldn't do them. It's the things that you don't allow yourself to do because of work. Like it's never like oh, I shouldn't do this because it's bad for me. It's, oh, I shouldn't do this because it's work. And it becomes like this like obsession almost. Yeah, I don't know, like that we need to definitely always make sure we're spending time like doing things for ourselves, which just sounds so basic.
Yeah.
But it's really hard. It's really hard to do that. I definitely struggle doing like when I'm off stream, I'm like, all right, now I got to do thumbnails. Now I got to record this. Now I got to do that. There's always something else. And then you get burnout, and then you're like, you're like, I don't know if it's not that this is my career that I should be doing. And then you take a break and you're like, I really needed that. Or you spend time with a friend and you're like, I really did need that.
Are either of
human
you
contact.
Are either of you good at working out what you need? Like before you actually are in the situation where you're getting it and have that realization like, oh, I really needed this.
Absolutely.
That is a magical skill, I think, to just know somehow that you need something.
I'm getting better at it.
That's awesome.
I feel.
That's awesome.
There were a lot of times, especially like when we first started talking, where we didn't know how to communicate what it was, and a lot of that was built around either previous situations not going in a way that you didn't feel like you come out of it and it was a bad situation, or not being able to emotionally comprehend what it was that you were trying to say. And I feel as though over time we've got a lot better, and I it's the same for you, Steph, as well, like, but we've got a lot better at being open with how we feel without there being a judgment attached to it.
Oh yeah, we're actually really good at that now. Whereas it's really hard when you don't like see somebody like in person and you don't see the body language. So you're like, oh, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I don't want to upset them. I don't want them to think I'm mad at them. You know, I'm very extroverted. Git is very introverted, and it would be a point where he's just like, it was like, hey, I need time for myself. I can't comprehend that. I can't comprehend that. I love talking to people, and I've gotten more introverted as I go. Like after the pandemic, I got a little bit more introverted, but back then especially, I was constantly around people all the time. I would just have people stay at my house just because I didn't want to be by myself. Like I just needed people around me all the time. So where Git is extremely introverted, and he would just be like, oh, I'm gonna go for a bit, and I'd be like, okay, but it would upset him more than upset me, because he was afraid of that judgment.
I'm a big cat. Like I hate to admit that I'm a cat, but I feel like I'm a cat. But you know, like with the whole I need space now, like in that moment, or I need validation, and like, you know how cats sometimes are obviously like, okay, pet me, I need the attention now. What are you doing? Get off me.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
I feel as though I definitely have that that, or at least that's what I'd struggle with, was the part of being like, hey, I just need to go and take time for myself, because the people pleaser in me was like, they need me, or like in that black and white world that I was living in, it was my focus is that they needed me in that scenario, rather than it being like, what do I need? Like, what do I need right now? I need to figure that out. And also, the world doesn't revolve around you. So like, there's a lot of that was really hard to figure out, you know, especially like finding out. So I have a personality disorder, for those that are wondering in the chat. But yeah, it was a lot of having to sort of reprogram my way of thinking towards things, and it can still be really hard sometimes, especially if I'm not giving myself ample time, or I can feel like I feel like I'm losing some level of control, and a lot of it is because of the fact that I haven't communicated, like, hey, I need to go eat, or I need to go do this, or I'm just emotionally overwhelmed, you know. And I feel like that's why being able to be open about these topics, especially as streamers as well, I feel as though it's still something that, yes, it's people are being a lot more tolerant of in terms of talking about it and stuff, but it still isn't actively spoken about a lot, I'd say, when it comes to the level of pressure that gets put upon people in these types of jobs, because every day could be a completely different adventure that you're on, and it can totally depend upon how chat approaches things, or, you know, who comes in that day, or one person might be having a really hard time, and then somebody else is also having a hard time, but they take it out on that person that's having a hard time, and then you as a streamer are sitting there like, you know, I'm just here today. Like, I'm here. Yep. I'm here at work, you know. Like, so I feel like there's a lot of those moments where trying to be mindful of how other people are, because, you know, I hate to break it to you, chat, but you're not just letters and symbols in a chat box. You are real. Each person is a real individual out there that's taking the time to sit here and be in each other's company, and I feel like there's something very poignant and special about that. Yet at the same time, it can also create such a chaos when communication can get a bit lost. So
speak for yourself. I'm a VTuber, ain't real. Just kidding.
So are we. Me and Jorbs aren't real.
I have definitely talked about parasocial relationships more than usual this year, but like I haven't at all this week walking through the charity. I guess. I wonder why. I don't know. I think when you're hanging out with friends, it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, normal human hanging out. This is normal, right? And you forget about all of the weird other thing that happens when you run an online content channel. But I have thought a lot about how names are people, and I've actually started doing community meetups recently. Once a month we hang out at a bar and play board games, and it's a really good time.
That's awesome.
And that's been really cool for all of the reasons that you'd assume would be cool, but also it's just like really nice to have a material thing that reminds me how true it is that everybody here is a person.
Yeah, like every day.
I wonder if it's clear to someone in the audience why that's important for a streamer to know or not. It is really important to know, and it's really hard to grasp it sometimes at our job.
I'll try and give some clarity, I guess. That every day you come to work, and the amount of people you have watching, you're filling out a venue. Like, it's the equivalent of you sitting on stage every day, being like, hey, I'm gonna entertain you with this, and everybody sits in the audience and watches you. And there's a lot of people, even other YouTubers or people that did TV work, where they'd put a show together and they didn't, especially in the 90s or before that, like they didn't know how popular it was at all, because it was just numbers coming in. But when you do like a meet and greet or something, and suddenly you've got a massive queue, a massive line of people outside because they desperately want to say hello, like that is a wild thing to think about. And the fact that we're able to be in a position where we can impact somebody's day through our own comfort, like our little comforting space on the internet, I think is an incredible privilege. And yet at the same time, it is really hard to grasp that fact if you don't actively think about it.
I think everyone can relate to forgetting that someone online is a real human being. Getting angry at someone who's tweeted something and never considering, like, well, maybe that person just like made a mistake. That's not that big a deal. Or maybe that person just like having a bad day and they're not actually a bad person. They're gonna wake up tomorrow and be perfectly fine. Or maybe there's some stuff going on for them, you know, and maybe that's what's actually important here, not the thing that they said. When you're with a friend, somebody who you love and care about and know, and they are acting weird in a way that like might make you uncomfortable or something, often in my life at least, my first thought isn't like, how do I make them feel bad for doing this? It's like, what's up with them right now? How can I help them? And I've thought a lot this year about living my life in different modes and what that brings me. Like, something I'm doing this week is trying to look at all of the good things that happened this year, because I think if you spend your time looking at the good things, you notice the good things, and if you spend your time looking at the bad things, you notice the bad things, right? And also, like, to that mode of behavior, like, I'm trying to spend more of my life caring about other people and helping them, and less of my life criticizing other people or thinking that they are evil or what have you. I've never quite gotten drawn into the whole, like, thinking that another human being is evil at all. I've always just kind of thought people are humans and some of them work differently and are motivated differently and maybe are dealing with some stuff and making poor choices. Yeah. So I think people in chat can probably relate to the idea that it's hard to remember that people are people online, even when you're like directly interacting with them on Twitter or something like that. And then for streamers, it's like every day that you go to work, you work for, I don't know, 6-7 hours, and there's 1,000 people there or what have you, and some of them don't say anything at all. And others like ask you about the game but don't actually interact with you in a human way, really. They're just like, what does that card do? And it is a constant task to remember that everybody is a human being. It is not innately obvious.
I love doing this from time to time, and I'd love it if you guys could participate. But if you are watching the stream in any form, any capacity right now, if you're lurking, spending your time, you have us on in the background, anything like that, could you all please put a 1 in the chat? Because it really blows people's minds when you suddenly like put things into perspective like that. There's so many people that don't have to spend their time speaking that get a lot of joy out of being able to watch the stream, and I feel as though it's a testament to what you've been able to build. And I feel like that's the inspiration that you've always been, is the fact that you are inherently you're authentically yourself, and I've never seen you be anything but JORBS. And well, Stephen, you know, it's like, it's, for me, that is a level of authenticity that often can get marred or like muddied online. And to sort of take it back to when I was a community manager, a lot of the time the questions you'd get asked to do with the game, you know, would be based around somebody really angry at the time. You know, especially a game like Dead by Daylight, people were furious because, oh, this perk didn't work, or it's glitched and stuff, and they hadn't read how the perk worked correctly, or it would be the equivalent of a card, like not reading a card. And the amount of abuse that you'd get because of the fact that somebody was so mad, and they weren't mad at, I think the big part of it was recognizing they're not mad at me. Like, they are upset at a situation because they don't understand or don't have full context of why something hasn't happened or hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And a lot of my job was talking to people, and then by the end of it, they'd go from incredibly rude or upset to being like, I'm so sorry that I reacted that way. I was just, you know, upset about this, upset about that. It's like, I'm glad that you're able to understand that on your own. So, like, sometimes it is just taking the time to let people vent, or let people have that moment to recognize, like, oh, not everybody in the world is against me. And you know, with all the ones in the chat, you guys are all here, and you're all part of something right now. And the amount you've raised for charity so far is incredible as well. So, like, you're massively impacting people's lives.
It is a strange thing to remember.
And we will still be meowing for every donation up until the end of our segment. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it is wild. Like, especially whenever I went full time from like working a hospital job to content creation full time. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. I don't know if people really want to watch me do content. And then it got to where I was really focusing on making sure I put as much out there, you know, not forgetting that, like, it's as cringe as it's gonna sound, it's not just putting your content out there. People are gonna watch you because they're watching you and they like the community and they have friends within. I can't tell you how many friendships I've seen like blossom over the year because I've been like streaming more and stuff, and it's really nice. Like, it really, I hate even saying it, but it really is a community. It's not just a bunch of numbers and letters on the screen. It's, you know, people hanging out and playing games and checking on each other. It's really nice. That's my favorite part of my job. I think.
The reason that I started doing community meetups was that I did a book reading for the book that I published this year, and like way more people than I thought would showed up, and everyone was super nice. So I thought, oh, this would be like a fun group to hang out with. Maybe we could do something with this. And so I started doing community meetups, and at
So I
the
took them to the
book reading,
casino.
at the book reading, we like hacked the bookstore in Seattle that I had arranged to do it at, and then I had rented out a cat's cafe for an hour afterwards. So everyone who wanted walked over to the cat cafe with me, and Optimus, thanks for the $5 donation to support Free2Luv. And we hung out with cats. And one of the things that I remember from all of that was, like, there were people who wanted to talk to me and stuff, but also everyone was talking to each other. And like, I tried to like say hi to everybody, you know, I was like trying to make sure that I got to shake everybody's hand and everybody got a moment with me, because that's why I figured they were there. But often I would walk up to a couple of people and feel like, if anything, I was interrupting their conversation that they were enjoying. And I was like, what are you two chatting about? And they're like planning to play board games together next week or something like that. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
the best.
You know, it was really cool.
that's how it was at TwitchCon for us, because we went to we went to both this year, and it was where, firstly, I didn't realize people wanted to like actually meet me, and I went to quite a few conventions besides TwitchCon. I went to a VTuber convention called Offkai, and then I went to Anime Expo, and it was always just very surprising. Somebody would come up and be like, "Oh, I watch your streams," and I'm like, "Oh, what's your username?" And I wouldn't recognize it right away, and then later on I would recognize it, and then I'd see them kind of come out more after they met me. But it was mostly when I would go to the, like, especially at Offkai, it would be in a group, like a group of people would come to me, and they're like, I wouldn't have to introduce myself to them, but it was more, they would say, "Oh, you know this person." Like, I felt like I was being accepted into their group, not that they were there to meet me, but like they're introducing me as a new friend to their group of friends that just happened to watch me together. It was just really nice. Like, I love that. I love seeing people like, they're not just, you know, sitting there like grouped up because they're talking about my channel. Like, that's not why they're there. They're there because they're, you know, having a laugh about something, or, you know, planning where they're gonna go next in the convention and stuff. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool. I love that. I really love conventions for that reason. I wish I lived near a city where I could have like meetups and stuff. Yeah, that would be really sick.
I mean, at TwitchCon, past the loft, and someone turned around. They were like, "Oh, are you Pastor?" They heard it's like,
Yeah.
it's like that happened more than once. Like,
Yeah.
they hear
Happened
you
a lot at
catfish,
Offkai.
and then that's it. You just, people just
Yeah.
recognize you. It's like, that stuff is an incredible thing to see. So
Yeah.
What were your favorite games of the year?
Tears of the Kingdom,
Years of
Zelda. I played that religiously. And then I will put it down for about 2 or 3 years, and then try and forget as much of it as I can, and then replay it again.
Start again.
It's the same thing I do with films as well. Like, when I was younger, you know, I'd buy a film, like I'd watch it in the cinema, then I'd buy it on DVD, and then I wouldn't watch it for 10 years. Because I was like, I will appreciate it so much more when I get that moment of going, whoa. So
Yeah, after I played Outer Wilds for the first time and completed it, I started microdosing lead. So I've just been eating lead every day until I forget it, and I can play it again without remembering anything. So I can relate to that.
Oh. I really,
Oh, thanks for the $25 donation to support Free2Luv. I'm gonna stop yelling when Steph and Git leave in 20
Of course,
minutes,
of
so
course.
get your donations
yeah,
in now.
so get your, get your meows in now, guys.
yeah.
My favorite game, because I don't particularly, well, there's like one, I started, oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying this. I really like Genshin.
Okay.
I started Genshin. I've never played any games like that, like adventure games. I've never really played a lot of games by myself because, like I said, I love to be around people. So, like, yes, as much as I love Lethal Company coming out this year and I've been playing a ton of Lethal Company with people and doing silly little things with monsters and stuff. I really freaking love Genshin. I've not ever played a game like that, and I'm kind of obsessed. And I know it's not a new game.
Nobody would have guessed looking at you right
But
now.
that's the thing. I don't really play games like that. I never played any kind of like waifu kind of game or whatever. Like, I don't usually like gacha games. I don't usually like any kind of gambling kind of thing. But oh my god, the chokehold that game has me on right now. I love it, and I don't usually like single player games at all.
It's Zelda. Yeah, it's Zelda.
It is like Zelda, just
every
fun.
Zelda
Is-
knockoff is
Is
amazing.
Genshin the game that Ray voice acted for Twitch chat? I don't remember. I think it
Quite a
is.
few people have voice
I have
acted
no
in
idea.
Genshin.
It is? Okay. Cool. What was the character that he did? He's the Oratice guy. Is that how you
I
pronounce
haven't
it?
met him yet.
Okay.
I'm kind of
No
new.
spoilers.
I've only
No
been playing for
spoilers.
like a month. Yeah.
French-looking villain. He was.
Oh, I'll probably meet him soon. I'm going to the French place this week. I'm excited.
All right.
We already went there in July, thank you. The TwitchCon EU. We already went to the French place.
Oh yeah, we went to Paris this year. That was
We
fun.
did.
Yeah. How was Paris?
It was okay.
I mean, it was around the same time that everybody was rioting, so it was a little
I
bit,
remember that.
little
yeah.
bit nerve-wracking until we got there, and then I was like, oh, a lot of it was the media. So
Well,
That
they're just not
sounds
gonna riot
believable.
at like touristy areas, and that's any big city usually. Usually, I mean, I come from a place where there's a lot of riots. Like Atlanta, there's always riots going on. If you stay in the touristy area, there's not gonna be a lot of. You're not gonna be in much danger. That being said, always pay the fuck attention where you're around. So. But yeah, Paris was cool. The freaking croissants. Oh my god. They're
yeah,
so good.
have you been outside the US, Jobs, much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent some time in Europe in my youth and, well, my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in
I-
New Zealand, of course. So I am from a different country originally.
Yes. I can't. My brain. My brain. I've been watching a lot of New Zealand Taskmaster.
Sure. How do you like it?
It's great because again,
Is it Guy? Is
people
that his
from-
name? I think I like him the most.
They are just as
Guy
cringeworthy.
Montgomery?
Yes,
Yeah, I
just
like
as
him.
cringeworthy as the UK. I feel like just as awkward, and cringy, and I love that sense of humor.
I do
But
feel that
yeah.
it's a slightly more. Actually, I don't. Yeah, I think it is a very similar cringe. I was gonna say
'Cause
it's more of a
it's-
like, chaotic cringe almost, but I don't know if I.
I feel like Australia are very chaotic cringe.
Yes.
New Zealand is more reserved cringe, and I feel like there's aspects of Britain that embody chaotic cringe and also reserved cringe. You know, depending on who you ask.
I love cringe.
But yeah, I was gonna say, like, until I went to Paris, I had never understood why people travel to countries specifically for food.
Mhm.
And then I tried a croissant in Paris, and I was like, oh my god, like this is what they're supposed to taste like. It doesn't just taste like the UK croissants now taste like cardboard to me. And I finally understood. My brain was like, yes, I need to travel to places to eat food.
We want to go to Italy for some pasta. That's our goal. And then I really want to go.
And gelato. Some gelato too.
Oh, gelato, yeah, and just some good seafood, cause like I always see like Italian. I really love seafood. I always see the way they like everything looks so delicate, like with seafood with them. Where I live, we deep fry off our catfish, and that's it. Like it's very heavy. It's very like stick to the rib. But like in Italy, they take a fish and it's just like so fresh and light looking. All the
That's
good
exciting.
herbs.
It's an excellent reason to travel. I have friends who are on a quest to prepare a meal from every country, like the
Oh wow.
cuisine of every country in the world right now,
Oh, that's cool.
which maybe you would enjoy as well. I don't know.
I would enjoy that. I want to go to Japan too while the yen is really low. Because you can go like spend just, a couple grand and have like a really, really nice trip and have really good food and stuff. So I really want to go while it's low.
Do you find,
eat a s-
since you're still in a long distance relationship, do you find that it's easy to like plan a trip somewhere else together instead of having one of you go to the other person?
Oh yeah.
Every trip is challenging. We're getting quite good at planning. No. Like we're getting quite good at planning trips now, is what I'm saying. Before it was very messy. Now we're very scheduled, like in terms of actually like planning out how trips work.
We have like a unwritten rule where like I do the flights and the hotel because I'm really good at that, and then you're
good at talking to people.
I am.
You're good at sorting out anything where we need to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I'm like the learner. Like I'll learn French, for example, or try and learn Japanese so that I can communicate when I'm there. So.
Yeah, he was like a translator. You're doing really good. You knew
Thanks.
so much French, and even the French, the people that were talking to you in French, they're like, "You're doing a great job," and I was like,
Oh,
I don't know what y'all are saying.
A lot of it was me apologizing for my terrible French, and then they're like, haha, hilarious, like this guy's great. So that tends to be the way to do it.
has the term doorway thought come up for either of you in therapy?
What's the term again?
Doorway thought.
I've heard that before.
It's like when you're on your way out of therapy and you're like, oh, by the way, like something incredibly important, and then you leave. But like the fact that you're on your way out was what kind of gave you the confidence to mention it because you're afraid of the follow-up maybe or something like that.
Isn't it when you have like you're afraid of losing the train of thought or something, or it's like something with like short-term memory or something? I remember. Like,
I don't know. That might be a slightly different thing.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I get what you both mean, because sometimes if I don't say it in that moment, I might feel like I'll lose it, which is why I'd feel inclined to say it. But I do feel it's a lot of it is also hidden within that. If I say it, I can run away. Yeah.
So I have that with speaking languages in countries I visit. I have had a conversation in Italian and a conversation in Japanese. Both of them were incredibly short. I'm not saying I'm like good at speaking those languages, but the only time I even tried was like at the airport leaving. So both of them were with people working at the airport, and like before then I was too scared to even attempt, I guess.
Aw. Yeah. I think with languages, I used to speak quite a bit of Spanish. Conversational, I wouldn't say it's quite fluent. A lot of my friends were Hispanic growing up, and I would just hang out in their houses and you just catch on, you know, especially at a younger age. I feel like the younger you are, the easier it is to learn another language. And whenever I graduated high school, like everyone separated, and I haven't really practiced it in over 12 years now, 10 years, something like that. So whenever I was listening to, I really like flamenco music and like any kind of like actual like Spanish music. When they were having, I used to be able to like
flamenco.
Yeah.
You said flamingo. I was just imagining you listening with half of your brain and standing on one leg.
Sorry. Yeah. Them little birds are just standing on one leg, you know, they love that song. So whenever I used to listen to songs, I used to be able to pick up quite a bit. Now when I listen to music, because I hadn't listened in so long, or like reggaeton or whatever, I'm really struggling. So like that is something that I'm trying to do this year, is to get better at Spanish and whatnot.
Cool.
It's tough.
Yes,
It's
I should
tough.
ask what you're looking forward to this year. Spanish.
Oh yeah, Spanish.
Trip?
Learning more Spanish.
Food?
Yeah, trips, food. My VTuber model comes out February, which has been done forever.
You've got one day to be excited about it if you're looking forward to it this year.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we have a new year.
To fit in.
That, and then I recently, this whole past 2023, which is why I kind of didn't really speak on it, because this year was a kind of a whirlwind. Like both. There was so many highs and so many really lows. Not to get into much details, but I had to help my dad with like some health stuff and like rehoming and just new family restructuring kind of thing. So I got him settled, and he's finally settled like as of like last week. So just seeing him, see how he's gonna be like independent this year, I'm really excited for that. And I get to kind of focus on myself and my job and my own kind of needs. Like, I am so excited for that. I'm very excited not have to live this life, try to pay for my own stuff, help my dad, and then help my brother, and then so I'm really excited. I can do things for me now.
That's really nice.
Yeah, everyone's settled, which is really, really nice. I'm like, please, nothing else go wrong. Though my fridge went out the other day and I had to buy a new fridge, but other than that, everything's doing great.
Do you feel like you're getting a moment to think about what's next, because the stuff that had been on your mind is kind of like in place? I always like those moments in my life.
Yeah, like I wrote down like a list of like an actual to-do list that wasn't for wasn't like, oh, I have to pay dad's bills, oh, I have to do this. It was like, what am I gonna do this year? And what am I actually like, when am I gonna do that? Like, to put things in like real time of, I can work on this now. Like, that's exciting for me, to work on projects and not be worried to get sidetracked because of, it sounds selfish, it really does. Like, I love my dad, and taking care of him is definitely because of my job. I'm very much grateful that I could do it, but to be able to put time and focus into projects that I'm excited for is like, I love that. It's so exciting. This is the first time I've done that in years.
It did not sound selfish to me.
It just, I am very privileged that I can take care of my dad, but it's also like, oh, I would love to have my own time and not have to worry.
It just goes back to feeling guilty about things that you don't need to feel guilty about, really. Yeah. You've been through a lot. I feel like you're definitely one of your harshest critics.
Well, I'm excited for 2024. It's going to be freaking lit.
Sweet!
So excited.
I think I'm going to try and, I'd like to focus on rebranding next year.
Okay.
As in, there's always been something I put in the way when it comes to this. I've always described it as, I'll pick up one basket by putting down the other one that I was carrying, and it's like, I have two hands, I should be able to pick up two baskets.
Okay.
Everything's okay. So like, I need to focus more on being able to recognize what you were talking about before, like focusing on the positive side of things and how I can feed off of that, because I'm very much like motivated by positive reinforcement. So I'm gonna try and continue to branch out or play with other people. That's a big part of what I'm gonna try and do next year. So we'll definitely have to do more of this, or in some capacity.
And play games sometime. That'd be fun.
That'd be really good.
That.
Oh, yeah. George, what are you looking forward to in 2024? Which I'm sure you've talked about this all week, but I haven't caught it. So
Yeah,
I'm
but I still
asking.
haven't decided. Every time someone asks me, I'm like, I don't know. I have some trips planned. I've started dating myself. I've been dating someone for a couple of months.
Yourself. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, what can I say? I'm a great guy.
Good. Things I love to hear.
Yeah, let's go.
So I have some trips planned with my girlfriend and some things to look forward to with her. She's really good at organizing and like doing things. Much better at me much better than me at actually doing things.
It's relatable.
So, yes. A thing I appreciate a lot.
I literally gave Giddy to do lists
Yeah,
yesterday.
the other day, literally.
Literally
But hey.
yesterday, like 24 hours ago. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, kid, this is what you got to do today since you're taking the day off.
Yeah,
Which I never do. It's not a regular thing I do. I just see,
No, I was
when
just
I
having a bit
see,
of a
he was in his head yesterday.
bad brain day, and
Yeah.
and Steph was like, "Here's a list of things," and I'm like, "Thank you." Like,
Yeah, sometimes that
helpful.
helps.
Yeah,
Sometimes
because
that helps
on the
a lot.
one hand, it's the people pleaser in me wants to solve it, but the other part of me is then I'm doing something that reinforces positivity because I'm getting things done. So, like, sometimes I just need someone to be like, "Do this thing." So,
Yeah. Well,
Did you get it done?
congratulations on dating, by the way, Jorbs. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
dating is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's been going okay.
Nice.
I'm glad. But at some point, we're gonna have to meet up, go to our cat cafe.
Trip to England. Haven't done an international trip. Well, Canada, but does Canada count?
It counts.
I haven't done an international trip other than to Canada since before the pandemic, so that
Mhm.
would be a fun thing to do. I don't know if I will have time for it this year. It would
Yeah.
definitely be fun to do if I can work out how incredible how all the time just gets used up doing things.
Yeah.
Another thing I am actually really looking forward to is this is my second year in this house. In my first year, I got everything organized inside, and this second year, I'm going to be working on getting the stuff organized outside. And so I've been gardening. I have spring bulbs that are probably going to bloom way earlier than they should because it's been unseasonably hot here. But getting to connect to the stuff outside of this online space that we live in a little bit more has been really rewarding for me lately, and I'm going to keep doing more of it. So,
Nice.
community games, hanging out with friends. I'm trying to get my weekends back from work, so actually taking weekends regularly, although working way too hard this week, arguably.
Yeah.
But it's not next year yet, so it's fine.
Yeah, it
Are you
doesn't
gonna
count.
Are you gonna write a sequel to your book?
The way that I wrote my book was I usually journal, and then sometimes a journal entry is a big enough deal to me that I turn it into like a blog post of some sort, because I think that other people might be able to benefit from it as well. And then one time in my life, a journal entry was such a big deal to me that I just kept writing it for like 2 years and then published it as a book. So I didn't really like ever plan to write a book. It just kind of happened to me. Will I
Yeah,
write
I
another one?
remember.
I don't know. I didn't.
I just love the idea of it,
Didn't know.
like from your last book, and then just being like, here's the sequel, and then it just being like a murder mystery and just being completely random, and
that'd
people
be
be like,
cool.
wait, what?
That would
And
be
you've
cool.
just gone off on a complete tangent. It's something else entirely.
I
And this
enjoy
was the
murder
mind of a
mysteries.
serial killer.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. I'm going to
Thanks
take
for
a
having
moment
us.
to have a little snack before my next guest.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much for having us. We have to play some games in 2024.
Yes.
Yes.
Invite me to do things and I will say yes, probably. I'm in a yes-saying mood at the moment, so...
Good.
Go-
I'm
Give me
writing to several things
$100.
now.
Yeah, just kidding.
I'll give you
Chat, don't ask him to do
$100.
anything.
I'll give you $100 worth of advice, Steph.
Okay.
Oh my god, that's worth 1,000. Jorbs advice?
No,
The
it's
kind of-
not. It's definitely only...
The
100 is a stretch, actually. This is like budget advice. This is
Exactly. I'm
not
his
brand
agent.
name.
He's only giving you $100 worth of advice. Okay.
Yep.
We have a high ceiling.
Oh,
I would say drink more water than you do. That might actually be worth
how do you know that I
$1,000.
don't drink water?
He knows. He
I
has
just
his
think
way.
it's blanket applicable advice.
It is. It is. Well, congratulations on a successful charity stream week. It has been amazing. I've been popping in. It's been really nice to watch and seeing everybody coming in and supporting such a good cause.
Yeah.
Yes. And before, like, obviously we have to leave now, and Jorbs is going to get his snack, but you guys could still do $1 donations, and he can meow before his next guest comes. So, like, you could do a lot of those before the next guest shows up. So, just giving you some food for thought over there, chat. You know, do what you need to do. But yes, well done to everybody for raising money for a great cause. So, and yeah, it's been a pleasure being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Jorbs.
Thank you both.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye, chat. Bye,
Goodbye.
Jorbs.
Bye-bye. Have a good day. Now it is just me. Sleepy Jorb. Let me get up to a good stopping point. Do I have to still meow? Is that the rules? I never signed up for this. I need an advocate. It is a force of chaos. Meow. Maybe this is the stopping point, actually. I need to go to the bathroom. I'll finish this fight. Record a Zephyr meow? No, every single one of them has to be different. People would notice. People would 100% notice. They'd be like, Jorbs, you're using the same meow over and over again. Jorbs, that's not good enough, Jorbs. People have high expectations of me as a creator. Love it, Garlic. Thanks for the $50 donation to support Free2Luv. Appreciate it very much. I don't know how to play this deck. I just, like, have absolutely no idea. Not a single clue. It's kind of wild how much I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I need more strength to beat Time Eater, maybe. When was the last time I had 3 just luckies in my deck? Like, I've done it in my life, but, like... not recently. Hey, you're welcome, Elephant Garlic. Glad I could help. Three-hour run party deck. I'm fighting Time Eater at the end of the act. I feel like that's going to be not very good. Maybe I'll find out I'm wrong. I mean, I can do the question marks, surely. Obviously, we can do the question marks. I have to stop. Yeah. Oh, this is a fight. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna run to the bathroom and get myself something to drink. And snack on some carrots. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Twitch chat. Hello. I didn't get chocolate. I want chocolate. Caleb's gonna be at 3 p.m. I think. Right? Yes, 3 p.m. I'm heavily considering taking an hour nap. I think I'm gonna take an hour nap. I think executive decision hour nap. And I will be back in an hour and 15 minutes to hang out with Terrence. Caleb D MTG. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Sorry to leave you for a bit, but I am so tired. And there's another day and a half to go.